My biggest problem was the dog, and her dog laid there and watched as I killed her. I needed to make it seem like we were better friends than we actually were, so that they wouldn't question my behavior with her. I go up, open the door, unhook her, pull her out, start dragging her to throw her over, and then cars start coming up. I see like headlights coming. I try to get her over and I can't. My leg up, like the weight from her body, like made me fall, and my leg like went up. So now I'm limping, my leg's up, and there's 3 cars coming up. So I grab her body. Dude, I had superhuman strength, and I threw it in the car, and I picked it up, and her feet were up here, and her head was down there, and 3 cars go by, and I'm losing my because that easily could have been a cop.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, the police station is like right there.
Yeah. I don't feel any different. Really don't think about it.
When a young man grew suspicious that his friend may be involved in a disturbing crime, he secretly recorded him, but he had no idea just how chilling the tapes he captured would turn out to be.
It's your life, you might as well make it one. What, are you gonna live some boring-ass life?
19-year-old Sarah Stern, a budding artist from Neptune City, New Jersey, went missing in December 2016. Sarah was well known in the tight-knit community where she grew up. Her loved ones had been especially concerned about her after her mother, Carla Stern, died from cancer in 2013. Despite this tragedy, Sarah still had a love for art and graphic design, referring to herself as an artist and a reckless optimist in her Twitter bio. One of her sketches shows Sigourney Weaver from the movie Alien. Sarah's real passion, though, was for YouTube. She didn't have a channel herself, but was an avid fan of Grace Helbig, Hannah Hart, and Mamrie Hart, known as the Holy Trinity, as well as Julian Solomita and Jenna Marbles. She would even travel long distances just to attend conferences with people who shared her interests and meet some of the YouTubers she liked.
It's watercolor.
It's so good! It's so hot! That's sweet.
In December 2016, Sarah's father, Michael Stern, who she lived with, was away in Florida on vacation. The two exchanged a few text messages back and forth, and everything seemed normal. On Thursday, December 1st, Sarah texted her father about when he was heading back home from his vacation, and he told her he would be heading back by Saturday morning, just a few days away. Take a moment to note the way that Sarah and her father talk to each other in these messages. There will be some accusations made in the following interrogations about the nature of their relationship, especially of late. Everything changed on the evening of December 2nd, when Sarah suddenly stopped responding to messages. Her last message was an upbeat response to some photos of Disneyland her father sent, saying, "Wow, the castle looks so pretty with the lights." But after that, she stopped replying. Her father continued texting her, each message growing increasingly worried and frantic. Over the next few days, Sarah's father continued trying to contact her to no avail. The last message he sent her just said hello on December 6th. By then, she'd been missing for 4 days. Her loved ones had become instantly worried, and on Friday, December 2nd, reported the fact that no one could get a hold of her to the police. Immediately, officers were out looking for her, and what they found was chilling. Sarah's grandmother's car, which she drove on a regular basis, was found abandoned on a bridge on Route 35 between Neptune and Belmar in the early morning of the 3rd, with no sign of Sarah anywhere. The dashcam footage shows the moment an officer finds her empty car on the bridge. Because it still wasn't clear what had happened to Sarah, the police continued their investigation, heading to the home Sarah shared with her father. This body cam footage shows the officers searching for any clue as to where Sarah may be. The following police footage, interrogations, and crime scene photos have never been seen before.
I'm hoping we don't have a jumper here. All right, I'll let you know. We're going to go in now. Give me a couple minutes. I'll give you a call back. All right, bye. All right, we're going to go in there. Okay. We're going to make ourselves very well known by yelling and screaming. We're going to bang on walls. We're going to watch out for whatever dog that might be. and be prepared.
In case the dog comes, or you know what kind of dog he has?
I have no idea.
Should I get the snare?
And be prepared for if Mike is home,
Yeah, you can
for him to be pissed. Well, I don't think he's home. There's a couple cars. You know, there's a missing car at least. There's 2 missing cars. He may be out of state, but who knows? We should bang on windows all around the house. I didn't realize it was such a hole.
Yeah,
Is there a gate?
We're out here with the county. I guess they're having the mosquitoes.
Wow, I had no idea he lived like this. You got somebody in there?
Nah, I think that was a dog.
Yep, just mount yourself real well.
Neptune City Police! Hello?
Hello?
Neptune City Police! Hello? Neptune City Police, hello? Back here?
Yeah, let's check down here first.
Hello?
Dog's in a cage right back there.
Hello?
Hello? It's the police department. Hello? Anybody home? Announce yourself, please. Hello?
Hello?
Anybody home?
Police Department?
Anybody here? Nothing so far.
Hello? Police Department?
That door's locked. That's not good. Hello? That door's locked? That one locked door.
Police Department?
35 you okay?
I'm looking for the doggy. A treat for the doggy. A treat for the good doggy. Look at a good doggy. A treat. I'll stick it through the cage. There you go.
I know, you don't take food from strangers, but got no problem eating it. Well,
Yeah. The cousin can get the phone number for the dog?
I think he was working on all that. Mom's not here, her grandma's not here, and Dad's not here.
The police find no sign of Sarah, and notably, they also don't find any clear evidence of a crime. They end up down the street looking to speak to one of Sarah's good friends and former high school classmate, Liam McAtasney. They head to Liam's mother's house, who also knows Sarah well.
We don't have to worry about these dogs coming out, do we?
Sorry.
Is Liam home?
Liam's. Stop.
Is Liam home?
He's around the corner.
What was that?
11 Holly Street. That's where he's staying now.
Oh, he's staying over there? No, we're looking for a friend of his that's possibly a missing person, and she supposedly hangs out with him. Does he, Sarah Stern, does he hang out with her?
Yes, Sarah's a very good family.
He's at 12 Holly?
11 Holly Street.
11 Holly?
Might be over there.
Yeah, of course.
Can you call Liam? If you don't mind?
The officer comes across another neighbor who also knew Sarah.
Yeah, we're trying to find Sarah. Well, she's supposedly calling Liam to see if Sarah's over there. So,
Would never leave Buddy, her dog.
the dog is in the cage at the house.
Okay. She brought over today a bin. Can I bring my mother's stuff to your house? Carla dog.
Yeah, I know Carla.
And
So she brought a bin of stuff of her mother's to
bin
your house?
taped over, and it's in my kitchen. I was out. I said, yes, I'll put it in the cubby. And I tried texting her, and nothing. I have brought her to the hospital.
That's my next
twice.
question. Is she depressed? Is she...
I think she's depressed.
Is she... Not anyway, do you think?
I don't know.
The stuff that she dropped off, is it like personal stuff of her mother's? Like it would be her personal belongings and all her memorabilia?
It's a big bin and taped.
It's all taped off?
Yeah, she said it's too much.
All right. We're going to continue this search then.
At Liam's house, he answers the door, looking as though he just woke up.
Liam. You Liam? You got a second? Can I come in and talk to you real quick?
Yeah, no problem, officer.
Is Sarah here by chance?
No,
When was the last time you talked to her?
I was with her today,
What time?
before I went to work.
So it was earlier today?
Yeah,
When was the last time you had any kind of contact at all with her? Turn some light on if you don't mind.
I mean, we went to get food today.
And you went to work at what time?
4:30.
Okay, so you haven't talked to her since 4:30? You have
No.
a cell phone you can reach out to her on?
I actually haven't been able to find my cell phone.
Any idea where
I've
it's
been
at?
calling it all day.
What was her mindset last time you talked to her?
I just know she's been trying to get away. She's been telling me she's going to Canada.
Trying to get away, okay. Canada, she been real depressed lately?
Her dad is crazy.
Okay, and then she's dealing with the loss of her mother. Her dad's in
Yeah.
Florida right now, right?
Her dad, yeah, he's coming back today, I guess. I don't know what time it is.
Where's the
So you-
grandma?
Grandma's actually sick.
Where's the grandma at right now? She's not at the
She's
house.
staying with some family member.
Okay.
Grandma's coming home right now. She's at Sharon's.
Are they going to be able to get into the house? Because I know that there
We can get into the
there
house.
isn't a key.
We can get
I
into
have
the
a
house.
key.
Okay.
The house was open earlier. We were already in the house. And I have a key to the house. So,
Okay.
all right. Keep looking for your phone to see if there's any
Yeah.
messages or anything. All right.
Thank you.
And all these things sitting
If you
around
talk to her,
here.
let us know. All right, call us up.
Yeah,
let
I'm
us
sorry
know
about
what
all
time.
this.
That's questionable behavior, man.
If
Yeah.
you can maybe reach out to some friends, maybe hit our message on
Yeah.
social
I
media.
definitely will.
Start reaching out to somebody, see if anybody's talked to her, or
Yeah.
when they talked to her, what her mindset was, and all that. All
I'm
right.
planning on getting a phone as soon as I wake
Okay.
up.
And
Yeah, we spoke
as
to your
soon
mom
as
before.
you hear anything, call the Neptune City or Neptune Township Police Department. Let us know. Thank you.
After speaking with Liam, the other neighbor who followed them across the street continues talking to the officer and reveals that she was incredibly close to Sarah. She gives some background to their relationship as well as an idea of some of the things Sarah had been dealing with.
She would never leave without telling me she was going to Canada. Or never. Never.
Here's. I'll bring you up to speed on what we have so far. Her car was found with nobody in it. We're trying to find out why her car was where it was and make sure she's all right. The car's registered to Grandma, who's 96.
Yeah, I know.
Initially, we tried to make sure Grandma was all right. We know Grandma's staying with a neighbor now, and now we're trying to find out, make sure Sarah's all right. I don't know when Mike's coming home, but it's a tough relationship between him and her,
Listen,
right?
I have taken the kid to the emergency room.
Has she ever done anything crisis-wise or anything? Does she take any kind of meds?
No.
Does it
No.
take any kind of Prozac, anything like that?
No. I've taken her to the dentist for a wisdom teeth. I've gotten her contacts. Gynecologist I've taken to twice. When she was in the emergency room, I thought it was her appendix, so the doctor, and he was in AC, Michael, and I stayed with her.
Mike have a girlfriend now or not?
Yes.
He does? Okay. It doesn't really matter, but is that where you spend a lot of time with a girlfriend? Is that why he's in
He's
Florida and all
never
that?
home.
Okay. Well, our main thing is trying to find Sarah. If you hear anything, Neptune City or Neptune Township, we're both looking for her.
In the days after her disappearance, the police returned to speak with Liam at his mom's house.
Liam, I gotta throw something in here, okay?
Yeah.
You know what's going on here? You know why we're standing here talking to you?
I have a pretty good idea.
No. Do you know why we're standing here talking to you? Do you have any idea where Sarah is?
I have
Listen,
no
this is. I'm gonna throw this out to you. Bear with me, John, because
No,
Sergeant Isaacson wanted me to make sure we made something very clear here.
Yeah.
The resources that are out there right now looking for her, the amount of manpower. We have people swimming in the Shark River in this cold weather, cold water, everything else. We have boats, we have helicopters. Dude, if you know anything about where this girl is or have had any contact with her, you need to let us know.
Believe me.
And exactly what it was that you had spoken to her about yesterday afternoon before you went your way and she went her way, You need to open up and let this detective know everything,
Yeah.
man,
'Cause I gotta
because
be honest,
there are
I mean-
people all over the place looking for this young lady.
Listen, we're not looking to bring it back here. We're not looking to get her in trouble. But yeah, we, like he said, we have a ton of resources out there, and people, guys are in that the current of that water is fucking
I'm a
cold.
lifeguard. I mean, it was
It's,
warm during the
it's a
summer,
dangerous
but
situation.
we had a similar situation to this with the scuba diver or something.
So
over the summer.
Yeah.
And I remember the manpower that was out searching for him.
So what he's saying essentially is like Superman, we're not looking to get you in trouble. We're not even looking to get her in trouble.
We want to find her and make sure she's safe and okay.
The following footage has been analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed attorney and former criminal prosecutor, and a licensed clinical psychologist. Liam is seemingly being cooperative and forthcoming. He's wearing sunglasses, which the officer should have asked him to remove. It's much harder to read emotion and expressions with sunglasses on. He's gesturing a lot while speaking, and it looks almost deliberate or too excessive for the context.
I went to work, got home from work, got drunk with my buddy, and then I had a knock on the door at 4 o'clock. This is...
So yesterday afternoon, around like 2 o'clock, is what I think it was, right?
Yeah, between 1 and 2, we went to Taco Bell.
Let me ask you, did you have your phone around then?
Liam sounds winded and nervous. He's nodding excessively, which is either a self-soothing technique or an attempt to try to appear more truthful or convincing in what he's saying.
In the past, she has had a tendency to have self-destructive behavior. I actually know that...
How long ago?
Years ago.
I mean, nothing you're going to say was going to get you in trouble, but,
yeah.
Do you know if does she use alcohol? Does she use any kind of drugs? And listen, like I said, man, it's not going to get her in trouble. It's not going to get you in trouble. We just kind of need to know what maybe her mindset was like.
Well, I've drank, I've smoked with her in the past.
Okay. Marijuana, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Okay. I worked until 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I was supposed to work until midnight, but I got off at 10 o'clock.
And you just came back here?
Yeah, I went back there.
You mean, got a couple beers or whatever?
Yeah.
Again, don't care. Good for you. I wish I was last night having a couple beers, but I wasn't.
The officer says, "You had some beers, good for you. I wish I was having beers." While this exchange could build rapport, that doesn't seem to be necessary, as Liam is freely chatting with them. Instead, this comes off as unprofessional and inappropriate. They may be trying to be relatable and non-threatening, or they may view him as a kid whose good friend is missing and feel sorry for him. However, he's not been cleared as a potential suspect, as they seem to still be at the beginning stages of this investigation. The entire tone of this interaction is not ideal.
Did she say anything to you about where she was going to head off to? Yesterday, when you guys left each other yesterday, how did that conversation end? Is what I'm trying to get at. All right, Sarah, talk to you later. I got to go to work, really
much it.
Okay, I'm heading to Canada. Did she give you any of that?
I know Nightmare Before Elm Street was on. We were hanging out. I said, I got to go to work. I'll see you later. I'm going to be late. I left.
The officer is leading Liam and feeding him answers. He's also asking multiple questions before letting Liam respond. This makes the interview a little confusing and chaotic. He's speaking over him and not really listening. He seems rather inexperienced by the way he's conducting himself and the interview.
And you were in her car?
Yeah. My car was at her house, though. I drove to her house.
Helped her move that stuff?
Yeah.
You guys jumped in her car, went to Taco Bell?
Well, reverse order. Drove there, went to Taco Bell, came back, and then moved the stuff.
Okay, I got you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
So she kind of just said, all right, I'll talk to you, or just, I'll give you a call tomorrow, nothing. She didn't say nothing else.
Yeah.
This is a perfect example of why officers should not ask leading questions. Liam is able to just respond with yeah instead of having to state what was said when he and Sarah parted ways. This is critical information that Liam essentially got an out in answering, as they did it for him. Liam sits on the porch with his roommate, Preston Taylor, who is also friends with Sarah, an unnamed friend, and Liam's mother. The police have been looking into Sarah's background and interests, and one of the officers asks about the YouTube channel she's been watching.
I just pulled it up. I'm going to be honest with you. I just pulled it up on the car.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this, and I'm going, okay, there's one of two things going on with this woman. First of all, she's high. which is a really good possibility.
Yeah.
And she's talking about making ugly Christmas sweaters with bells on it and shit like that. Does that sound familiar? Is that basically what Sarah's following around? Helbig. Helbig, you're saying, right?
Yeah.
They sit in front of a camera doing a little podcast type of thing of her talking about stupid.
That's exactly what they do.
Okay, so that was the right page.
The way the officer discusses the YouTuber Sarah follows is very unprofessional, saying she looks possibly high and is doing stupid. The lack of professionalism is glaring, and he comes across as almost a friend, not an officer interacting with potential suspects.
We've said it a couple times. I'm going to throw it at you one more time, dude.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure she's okay. Nobody's going to get in any trouble here. Trust me, it doesn't matter to us what you're doing behind the closed doors. We just got to make sure that Sarah's all right. And if you've got any other information, you got to throw it out at us so we can go a little further, you know? We're kind of throwing darts at the wall right now. Quite honestly, both of us are putting our heads together, throwing darts at the wall, trying to figure out.
This statement makes him once again sound incompetent. An officer should never show their hand at potential suspects unless they can use it to their advantage. A statement like this doesn't seem to do anything but make them look like they're desperate and have little to go on. Whether true or not, that should never be openly stated to anyone potentially involved.
If you come up with anything else,
Yeah.
Mom's got detective's number. You got to call us. If there's any way that she contacts you in any way that you two may make contact.
Yeah.
If you think about something that you guys talked about that might be important that you're not thinking about and you're telling us now, you got to call us and let us know. Like I told you again, there's resources and people out here right now risking themselves to find her.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm just.
you want to do this job, now you put yourself in our shoes and what us and everybody else is going through.
Definitely.
All right?
Liam was then brought in to speak with police at the station to see if he could shed any light on what may have happened to Sarah. And believe me, what he had to say was eye-opening. Sarah and Liam's friend, Preston Taylor, was brought in the next day for questioning as well. Liam and Preston lived together in a cottage in Neptune City. Preston took Sarah to junior prom the year before they graduated from high school, so he knows her well, something that he doesn't let on to for quite some time. Please note that the people involved in this case have not been formally diagnosed with any mental illness, and the psychological analysis is not based upon a formal assessment.
So what is this? Just pretty much the same thing. Like I said, the detective from the county is going to come in and talk to you. You know, you haven't met him yet, so we'll let him step in and he's going to talk to you and we'll go from there, all right? Okay. It's just,
Although some dismiss body language analysis as pseudoscience, it's used by the FBI and CIA during interrogations. When the CIA is interrogating an individual, they look for clusters of 3 or more indicators that occur in either quick succession or all at once. These indicators can be signs of discomfort or uncertainty in what the individual is stating, rather than indicators of deception. It's extremely important to note that you cannot detect deception through body language analysis alone. As soon as he enters the room, Liam appears tense. He's sitting with his arms crossed and his posture is slouched slightly forward, which could mean he's eager to get started with the interrogation. However, his arms being crossed and the frequent nodding of his head when responding makes him appear tense and uncomfortable with the situation.
hey, Liam, thanks for coming in, man. No problem. You have to work today or you're off? I'm off. You're off? Yeah, I actually supposed to have school all day, but I emailed all my professors and they said it's fine if I don't come in this week. Okay. Yeah. Why aren't you going to go in? This whole thing is still on. I don't know. I didn't write computer mine to be taking finals this week. You've met John before multiple times. Yeah, I'm Ryan. I'm a detective with the prosecutor's office. Nice to meet you.
Liam continues nodding his head excessively while the interrogator is speaking. This may be because he's trying to appear truthful, convincing, and engaged. It may also just be a self-soothing behavior instead of a desperate attempt to be believed. Another indication of his desire to appear this way is that he shakes the hand of the investigator. Although a handshake is a typical appropriate greeting, Liam leaning forward and shaking the hand of the interrogators is another indication he's trying to come across as agreeable, cooperative, and submissive.
We just want to talk to you in some greater detail about what information you know about where she is. All right. Who do you live with, Liam? I live with my roommate, Preston Taylor. Is he friends with Sarah also? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we all went to high school together. Okay. Yeah. And where are you working now? Brennan Steakhouse in Neptune City. I also work at Tree Willie. It's a Christmas tree place in the wall. You go to Brookdale, you said? Mm-hmm. What are you studying there? Psychology. How long have you known Sarah? First grade. Since first grade. Yeah.
The interview has begun with basic questions, as the detectives are trying to get a background history on him and also a baseline to judge Liam's demeanor, tone, patterns of speech, and body language to have a point of reference when they get into topics he may be more apt to lie about. The detectives also do this to develop a rapport with the suspect, using casual conversation to create a non-threatening atmosphere. Additionally, it becomes harder for people to suddenly stop talking once they've already started. The detective is friendly and does a good job setting up a non-threatening atmosphere. However, the detective is taking notes during the interview, which can create a sense of distance and less informality, which is not ideal for an interrogation. The conversation is being recorded, so it isn't necessary. The detective will also potentially miss a lot of nonverbal communication by writing, instead of looking as the suspect answers them. A person who knows their answers are being written down may also be more careful with their responses, which is also less than ideal when trying to extract information.
Doing all right? Yeah. Thanks for coming down to talk to us. Where do you work at? At the moment, I'm working with my dad doing construction, and then for a company, or? Well, he owns his own. What's the name of the business? Stocco. I don't know his word name. Stocco. Stocco? Yeah. Construction? Mm-hmm. What kind of stuff do you do? General, handyman, remodels.
The detectives use the same technique as with Liam to get a read on Preston's baseline behavior. Preston appears rather reserved and unemotional. He's visibly uncomfortable being there.
And what are you studying? General business. What do you want to do? When we get the associates, and then you're going back to Stockton with another state university. You want to do a bachelor's or marketing? You want to go into the business world? Make some money? Yeah. Good for you. All right, and who lives with you at 11 Holly Street? Just Liam. Just two of you guys? Yeah.
Preston has a notably monotone effect to his speech. He seems rather unemotional and his tone rarely changes. You will also notice Preston repeatedly does what is called a mouth shrug after answering many of the detective's questions. This often conveys the message of, "I don't really know," or "this has nothing to do with me." It could also signify a feeling of disappointment with himself. Preston overall seems very flat and often mumbles when speaking.
So, how long have you known Liam for? Sam was shortly after meeting me. Liam was in my algebra class freshman year, so I've known him since then. Okay, so we're nice, pretty good friends, and hanging out ever since. Just beginning of high school? Yeah. You guys didn't know each other in middle school or elementary school? No. Did you grow up in Neptune? Nah, my whole life. Did you go to school with Sarah as well? Yeah, they were all the same friend group. That was essentially who I started hanging out with when I went to high school. Okay. Now, is she your year or is she older or younger than you? She's the same age. Same age. You guys graduated together? And how did you meet Sarah? Through Liam and Shamus. They were friends with like a whole bunch of Neptune City kids. And that's who I started hanging out with. And did you socialize with Sarah? Did you talk to her on a regular basis, or? Not on a regular basis. When we hung out, like when everyone all got together, I talked to her. That was really it. Okay. Did you talk to her on the phone? Do you have her phone number? Like, do you have that type of relationship with her where, like, you can call her up? But we didn't really speak too much. Okay. Or just if you saw her out, you guys were more like mutual friends than anything else? What's the extent of your relationship? I would say we're pretty close friends. More over the summer than during the winter, but we've still been pretty close. She actually, I'm a lifeguard in Bradley Beach. She was a badge checker, so I saw her pretty much every day over the summer. Was she ever your girlfriend? No. We actually have reason to believe that she could be a lesbian. That's what I've always thought. Is that right? Yeah. Never hooked up with her or anything like that? No, nothing like that. Okay. Do you know her ever to date anybody before? No. Actually. It's weird. She just seems really, like, immature. You know, like she's not interested in that kind of stuff. She's more interested in playing video games or something like that. I don't know. Does she talk about guys? No. She actually gets grossed out.
These are odd things to say about his missing friend, because he doesn't sound like he's talking about his close friend. If we look at the context of the situation, Liam is sitting in the police station getting interrogated after the disappearance of his friend. Sarah is missing, and anyone close to her, or anyone who even casually knows her, should be very concerned about her well-being, particularly if it's believed that she may have taken her own life, given where her car was found.
Do you know, did Sarah have a boyfriend? No, I don't think she's ever had a boyfriend. Okay. What makes you say that? I just can't recall her ever being with anybody. Have you ever had any conversations with her about, like, her dating anybody or being with anybody? No. Could you, I know Liam was obviously friends with Sarah as well. Yeah. He's known her a long time, right? How often would you see Liam and Sarah together? Like, maybe once a month.
The detective should try to ask more open-ended questions. Despite the fact that he's just gathering background information at this point, he should still allow Preston to talk as much as possible. Preston's body language with his hands on the table seems forthcoming. His answers to questions appear honest at first, though brief, and he doesn't elaborate much. But this may be because of his age, and not because he's particularly nervous or trying to hide something.
How would you describe Sarah? Pretty regular person. Definitely quirky. What do you mean by quirky? It's like, I don't know. I thought she was weird, but like she just had like little things about her that were just like a little different, like each other. Give me an example, like what do you mean? Like with all her like online stuff, like she would make like obscure references to like YouTube videos and stuff. Okay. What does she do online? She's on a lot of like bloggers and stuff. I know she's been to like YouTuber conventions and stuff, like all over the place. Sarah's friendship with Liam, how would you describe that? And they're good friends.
Preston has been almost entirely motionless, expressionless, and just overall very flat in terms of his facial expressions throughout the interview. His voice is very monotone, and there are no inflections in his tone of voice.
Most of her girlfriends have kind of left her over the years. After everything that she went through with her mom, and she's continued to go through with her dad. And it's just been kind of like boys hanging out with her. And if we were to bring up anything about she's always grossed out. When you say grossed out, what do you mean? Like repulsed, like, oh, don't say that, oh, it's gross. Anything about in general. And your conversations about would be in what context, like? Just joking around, you know. Okay. Make just comments or whatever. Yeah. Okay. Does she ever talk about liking guys or? Not that I know of. Girls? No. She has been known to obsess over girls in the past, though. One of my ex-girlfriends, a few years ago, she was completely obsessed with her right around the time her mom had cancer and was dying, and she just would always say stuff like, Maggie, if you don't come here right now, I'm going to kill myself, or...
Why would Liam mention these things about Sarah? Could he be maybe trying to set up a sort of profile of Sarah as being an outcast, unstable, or as being strange in order to support the idea that she took her own life, so he won't be considered a suspect?
I mean, you guys know about the Drapers, right? Robin Draper. You spoke to her. There have been multiple occasions where my ex-girlfriend Maggie has had to go to the Draper's house to help her with either her dad. I can't say for sure if her dad was going to do something, but there has been a few occasions where she said, my dad's going to hurt me or I'm going to hurt myself in the past. And, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is it's just she can obsess over girls. And this YouTube thing that she has going, she's obsessed with these YouTubers, and most of them are known lesbians. So I don't know if they were her role models. I don't know. I don't know if her family would have, how her family would have taken it if she were to come out and say it. Because she's always been, I don't know. I called her a tomboy the other day. I guess that would be a good way to describe her.
Here, the detectives do a good job of staying silent and letting Liam talk. He's offering a lot of information well beyond the question of her sexuality. However, when Liam is done talking, the detectives fail to follow up on the multiple allegations Liam makes. Sarah's potential issue with her father and her threatening to take her life is potentially relevant and possibly related to her disappearance. They should have gone back right then and dug into those things deeply before moving on to her work history.
Now, does she work now? No. She's had multiple jobs in Neptune City that she's either been fired from or quit from. I've never known her to be able to hold the job. She gets let go? Yeah, or she quits. Both. I know Bruno's let her go. I'm not too sure. I guess she just wasn't good at her job. I don't know.
Liam continues to speak negatively about Sarah, stating that she has had several jobs that she's been fired from. Again, trying to depict her as being unstable. I think that his desire to reveal these details about her during the interrogation is very much a giveaway that he's purposely trying to steer investigators towards the theory that Sarah took her own life. Anyone in his position who is concerned about his missing friend would at least talk about her with a little emotion, with a little empathy. Liam doesn't sound like he's sharing information about his missing friend in order to help investigators find her. Instead, he sounds like someone who is ratting out his friend. The fact that he's sitting in an interrogation room, probably knowing that there's a camera pointed at him, and he's lying and trying to create a story about Sarah being unstable, is a very significant indication of his antisocial nature. The typical person enters an interrogation room and feels intimidated, especially if they're guilty. But even if they're not guilty, it takes a lot to sit there and lie to two law enforcement officials, something that only a person with antisocial personality disorder, APD, can really accomplish.
What about school? She hasn't begun school. She went to Brookdale last semester, and she just didn't even sign up for classes. Not last semester. Yeah, last year she did a full year of school, and this year she hasn't even registered for classes. You know why? Canada, I guess. She's just been saying she needs to get away, go to Canada, get away from her dad. Is she in Canada? I couldn't tell you. I can honestly tell you that. I'm one of her closest friends, and I have no idea why she wouldn't tell me anything before she left. Like the last time I say goodbye to her, it was just like any other day. Like, see you later, I gotta go to work. Nothing. She didn't say anything. Many of her relatives had been over the house, and I think her name was Michelle, or I don't know, it started with an M, but I just remember hearing Sarah say, this might be the last time I see you because I might be in Canada by the next time.
Liam is trying to set up alternative theories of Sarah not being deceased. He begins a theme of her possibly having planned to flee to Canada or somewhere else to get away from her dad. He's trying to portray Sarah as having problems, i.e., unable to keep a job, not registering for school again, etc. These things may be true, but they are details the detective didn't ask about that he just freely offers up to give alternatives to her being killed. This is to try to take the pressure off of him, despite not realizing the detectives have already likely collected a lot of evidence that they haven't disclosed that may contradict his theory. The detectives have also found her car in New Jersey, so the chances that she left the area are unlikely. Liam notably avoids eye contact with either detective. He keeps his gaze down towards the table.
What kind of car did you know Sarah to drive? She drove. I couldn't tell you the model, but it's a beat-up old grandma's car. Have you been in that car? Yeah, I was actually in her car on Friday.
Liam's excessive nodding slowed down after the questioning began, maybe because Liam felt more comfortable as the interrogation progressed. However, here the nodding started again, particularly when the investigator started asking about Sarah's car. It's likely that Liam starts to nod intensely and repeatedly when he becomes nervous, or when the investigators are getting close to details that could incriminate him. Even though Liam admits to being in her car on Friday, which is the day she went missing, the detective never asks when, why, where they're going, etc., and moves on to another question. Anything related to the day she went missing could be important information, and they don't ask about it.
Who were Sarah's friends other than yourself? Pretty much just all the Neptune City kids. Went to Woodrow Wilson. See my brother. Billy McAvoy, Robert Sanamon. I could give you all his names. Who's your best friend? I would say Robert Sanamon. Does she talk to him often? Yeah, I mean, once he talks to me. But I know that he has a lot of internet friends. And the fact that she doesn't, I mean, I don't know too much about it, but the fact that she's inside most of her days, just on the computer, I think that she definitely could have a lot of close friends that I don't know about.
Liam mentions that Sarah is inside most of her days on her computer. He mentioned the same thing earlier. It's likely that he's trying to make her sound like a recluse to, again, support the emotional instability theory.
What do you guys talk about? What do you guys do when you hang out? Video games, comics, movies. Are you into video games? Yeah, definitely. Comics? Yeah. Movies? Mm-hmm. What else? Music. I mean, we don't really have the same taste in music, but we're just childhood friends. We can talk about whatever. Do you know her family? Yeah, I know some of her family. You know her dad? Mm-hmm. What's her relationship like with her dad? Not good. When you say not good, what do you mean? I can't say that anything's ever gotten violent, but I know that there's a lot of fighting all the time. It's just constant fighting between her and her father. What's the fighting about? Anything. I was with her a week ago, and she broke the key to her house, and her dad called her. She had it on speaker yelling at her. Couldn't believe that she did it, right? And then she hangs up the phone, and he calls her right back again and has the same exact conversation like they didn't do it. They did that 3 or 4 times right in front of me. And the dad just had no recollection that they had already had that argument before. And I was just sitting there like, Sarah, if he's calling you again, he's calling you to argue with you. I don't know, like, you don't have to let him do that to you. You can just not answer the phone because there's nothing you can say that you haven't already said to him.
Liam talks at length about the issues between Sarah and her dad, so it seems here like he might be trying to frame the story to make her dad sound guilty. It's important to remember that Liam is sitting in an interrogation room with 2 detectives, and he's giving all this information with what seems to be a clear intention of trying to divert the detective's attention to Sarah's emotional instability, and now to her father being an unstable person. The mere fact that he's doing this shows his antisocial nature.
What kind of things, aside from that incident, has she spoken to you about regarding her dad? I know that when her mom died, she had money that was supposed to go to her, and her dad took that from her. It's kind of been the big thing over the years that she's always said. The dad took money from her, dad took money from her.
None of Liam's accusations about Sarah's father have ever been corroborated or proven to be true.
She definitely had some trust issues because over the past few weeks, she's been just packaging things up in containers and moving them to other people's houses. I actually have some containers in my basement right now. I know that there were containers in the Drapers. I know there were containers in the Reynolds house.
Money is always a potential motive in a crime, and when mentioned, should always be thoroughly questioned. Yet the detective moves on to question him about the containers and not the money.
How many containers did she move to your house? I believe there's 3 in my basement, 3 or 4. What kind of containers? They're just big gray containers. Like bins? Yeah, bins, yeah. And then there's one. What were you looking at? I haven't looked in them, but I could tell you that one of them was just a plastic. There was a clear one, red top on it, and the whole inside of it was just VHS tapes. I don't know why she would package up. I mean, the container's this big, just full of VHS. I don't know why anyone would need a VHS tape. Where are they in your house? They're just in my basement. Why did she give those to you? Because she didn't want her dad to have them. Did she tell you that? Yeah. Do you think her behavior was odd? Yeah. I didn't think it at first, but she's always wanted to go to Canada. She's always been obsessed with Canada. And I just didn't think anything of it at first. But why wouldn't she just go to Canada? That's done. I don't know. She has everything that she could need to go to Canada. Doesn't have to go to school, doesn't have a job. I don't understand why if she was going to go, she wouldn't have just gone.
The detective fails to dig into the theory that Liam is posing. He should have asked if he thinks that is where Sarah is, how she might have gotten there without her car, etc., to either take that theory off the table as a reasonable answer to where Sarah is, or to find out more to see if it's feasible. Asking suspects direct questions puts them on the spot, and you can often tell a lot by their responses, even if they're lying. Instead, the detective just moves on to another topic.
I don't understand why. Did she ever tell you that her dad had ever had any physical altercations? No. Did you ever ask? I have. I've always told her, if her dad puts his hands on you, you need to let me know. And she would always say no. It's always in verbal arguments. You had asked her, you had been text messaging her, and you had asked her if he hurt you. Yeah. Who were you referring to when you said, did he hurt you? Her dad. Did she tell you if her dad hit her that day? She said that he didn't. He didn't? Yeah, because, believe me, I've done nothing but just try to find out if there was any physical violence between her and her father. I've always been trying to get that out of her, and she's never told me. She didn't really like to entertain herself with, like, alcohol or drugs. It was more art, like drawing. But she did drink, though? She did. She has. Did you ever see her get drunk? Yeah, definitely. What does she drink? Not beer. Hard alcohol. You said she drinks with the online community? Her friends? I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. Do you know if she'd ever done any other drugs other than marijuana? Not that I know of. Are you? No. I want to be a police officer. There's no way I would do that. She went to Canada for the YouTubers. YouTubers are having this thing where they get together and their fans come, right, ask them questions, I guess. And she always made it seem like it was this big social thing with her internet friends. She was going to go up there and stay at one of their houses. These people that she said that they could potentially be roommates if she were to move up to Canada. And when she got to Canada, her dad had to call her an Uber. No friends picked her up. They have Uber in Canada? I guess so. This is my mom's information. I don't know how valid it is, but I just wanted to let you know. And she stayed in a hotel that night instead of with friends. So, I don't know, everything she could be telling me could be a lie. Just based on that. Because I thought she had all these friends that she was going to spend time with.
The interrogation seems to be very disjointed. Liam is clearly willing to talk to them, and yet almost 40 minutes in, they have yet to really get into any questions regarding the day she went missing. While it's important to get background information and build rapport, you don't want to wait too long to get to the heart of the interrogation. Liam has once again steered the conversation back to Sarah's desire to move to Canada and her familiarity with the country. This is highly suspect because it's quite off topic from the discussion of how much Sarah likes to drink alcohol. Still, the detective asks nothing about this.
A few weeks ago, it's your grandmother's house that they live in. They had a house in Avon that they were going to live in, but it was so full of stuff that they were forced to live in the grandma's house. One of the family members came over and trimmed the bush, the walkway, up the stairs to make it easier for the grandma. And this is a direct quote. The dad said, I'll crush their skulls in and burn their houses down if they do that again. Like, he was literally threatening to kill them over a bush.
Liam is being more obvious now in trying to incriminate Sarah's father. Still, the detective fails to ask Liam if he thinks the father was involved in her disappearance. Asking him this, even if the evidence does not in any way point to the father, is useful to see if Liam is trying to direct them towards the father.
When did you last see Sarah? When I was leaving her house to go to work. When was that? Sometime before 4:45 of what day? Wednesday, Friday.
Liam frequently does something called the turtle effect. This is a movement where someone crouches and pulls their shoulders up to their ears, like a turtle going into its shell, and is often accompanied by the person avoiding eye contact with whoever they're speaking to. This movement is a way for Liam to make himself appear small, and is a sign that he's feeling uneasy or is losing confidence.
You also last saw her on Friday before 4:45? Mm-hmm. And why do you say before 4:45? That's the time I had to be at work. You have to be at, where did you work? Brendan's Steakhouse. Okay. What time did you work at Brendan's? What time did I work? Yes. Between 4:45 5 o'clock, I got there, and then I was off sometime around 10 o'clock. You drove there? Yep. Did you leave directly from Sarah's house and go to work? Yeah. So you left sometime around 4:45 in that area? Mm-hmm. You don't have to change to go to work? Yeah. Where'd you change? At my house. We literally live a block away from each other. So it was just real quick, getting changed and going to work.
Liam is finally asked when he last saw Sarah. Generally, this is a question that would be asked early on in an interrogation, and it's unclear why the detective waited almost 40 minutes to ask him this. Liam once again begins nodding excessively. It's hard to say if this is an exact indication of lying, but the nodding can at least be an indication that he's uncomfortable or nervous about responding to the question. His response is inconsistent, first saying he went directly to work and then that he'd actually stopped at his house to change his clothing.
Did you leave directly from Sarah's house and go to work? Yeah. We literally live a block away from each other, so it was just real quick, getting changed and going to work.
Normally, a detective would ask him about this inconsistency in his story. The detective is now getting a timeline of the day Sarah went missing and get a picture of the events that day according to Liam.
So you worked 8 till 5? Till around 4. I got home around 5. Okay. When you got home, who was at your house? Liam was getting ready for work, trying to find his phone. Having me call it a few times to see if I could find it. Okay. And where's Liam? What did he have to go to? Browns. Steakhouse? Okay, so he was home when you got home from work on Friday? Yeah. How long, the time that you got home from work, how long was Liam in the house looking for his phone and getting dressed? Like maybe 30 seconds. As soon as I walked in, he was like, dude, I gotta get to work. I'm looking for my phone. Did he drive to work or walk to work? He drove to work.
Notice the detective continues to lead Preston instead of asking him open-ended questions. This allows Preston to give yes or no responses, which are not nearly as useful. The detective is now asking Preston questions to see if his answers corroborate with the timeline Liam gave them the day before. This would have been a good time to press Preston about Liam being the last known person to be with Sarah. The detective doesn't even mention Liam and Sarah being together earlier.
What did you do after he left to go to work? I took a nap, got up, I ran back to my parents' house as I left. Coffee and drink. Spent a lot of time at your parents' house? Nothing like that, no. So you slept for about an hour, and then what did you have, like a half empty coffee or something? It doesn't really matter, but it's Manhattan Special. It's like a carbonated espresso soda drink. Okay.
It seems rather unlikely that Preston would drive back to his parents' home an hour or more after being home to pick up an espresso drink he left there. It seems like a lot of trouble to get a coffee drink. He may have been saying this in case he was driving and needed to cover his tracks. He may also have been going to his parents' house to have someone provide an alibi about where he was, since he was alone most of the night and no one could vouch for him.
It's like a really old-fashioned Italian drink, like most, like, old-fashioned, like, pizzerias and stuff. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I just want to let you know your parents just wanted you to know that they're here if you need them. During the lobby, I told them you were speaking with detectives, and I just let them know that if you wanted to step out and talk to them at any time, they're there. Okay? All right, thanks. Thank you.
Preston is just over the legal age of a juvenile, so while he isn't given the right to have his parents present in the room, they offer him the courtesy to consult with them at any time. It's interesting that his parents don't advise Preston to stop talking to the police or request he speak to an attorney. This may be that they aren't concerned their son did anything wrong and don't feel it's necessary, or they may worry, as many people do, that doing so will make him appear guilty. This is a common misconception, as having counsel, whether you are innocent or not, is always a good idea.
When you went to work, what were you and Sarah doing? When I went to work? Yeah, when you left to go to work. When you left her house, we were just hanging out. Maybe let's do this. Let's start the day on Friday. Okay. What did you do when you woke up on Friday? Slept in till what time? Say somewhere around noon. Okay. What did I do when you got up? Did some dishes, cleaned up the house. Then I called her initially, asked her if she wanted to get some food. She said she had to. What time did you hook up with Sarah? Sometime between 1 and 2 o'clock. Between 1 and 2? Mm-hmm. I went over. I helped her. Did you go to eat? Not yet. Okay. We did go to eat, but we initially wrapped up all of her stuff, put it in the containers, and then went across the street to the Drapers, put the stuff in their basement. And Sarah and I to Taco Bell. Which Taco Bell do you go? The one in Neptune. Do you remember the names of the streets? The one on Highway 33 next to the wall? Yeah.
The two were caught on CCTV when they went through the Taco Bell drive-thru. In the window, you can see Sarah and Liam talking, with Sarah in the driver's seat.
Did you stay there the whole time after you went back to her house? Yeah. We actually went up in her room and played some video games. Where did you eat the Taco Bell? We ate the Taco Bell in her kitchen, at her table. You went to her bedroom? Mm-hmm. What video games did you play? She had a bunch of old, I don't even know what to call them. It's like a little box with like a joystick on it, maybe 2 buttons. They're like arcade games. She just plugged it into her old TV. We played those. There are a bunch of different games.
She has a TV in her?
Yeah, she has 2 actually. 2 for the old video games and 1 for her cable, I guess.
Okay. Well, you both were playing video games?
Yeah.
That's all you did up there in her bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
You stayed up there the whole time?
We actually ended up in, I think we might have been in the living room. I don't know.
Liam begins frequently touching his face. Neck and face touching are typically pacifying and self-soothing gestures. When Liam touches his face, he's likely experiencing an unpleasant emotion, such as insecurity, and is trying to comfort himself.
What kind of things were you talking about?
You know, I still think it's just been such a flare.
Liam is becoming noticeably more nervous and on edge. His voice is a little shakier and his answers are more scattered than before. The detective is now slightly more confrontational and Liam takes longer to respond. Throughout the interview thus far, he's been pretty quick thinking in the sense that he hasn't struggled to recall anything. Now all of a sudden, when he's asked details like what he and Sarah did when they were at her house eating Taco Bell and playing video games, he struggles to report if they stayed only in Sarah's room or if they went somewhere else. Liam suddenly can't recall information and says things are a blur. The long pause continues. This is dramatically different than his previous answers where he seems to recall almost everything he was asked. This also deviates from his baseline behavior. Despite Liam's timeline of events for Friday, in a text to a friend, Liam says that he was sick with the flu and spent the last 3 days in bed. Yet he never mentions to the investigators that he'd been sick. If it were true that he'd been in bed for 3 days, one would think that Liam would mention this to the police. So why would he lie to his friend? Maybe because he was actually busy doing something else.
Just a regular old conversation. Could have been about anything.
Did she talk to you about wanting to leave?
She had that day.
What did she say?
She just said that her dad was coming home. She had to get the stuff out. She just needed to get to Canada.
Did you make any promises to her?
No, definitely not.
That you wouldn't tell anybody anything?
No. I had spoken about going to Canada with her over the past few weeks, but that was just kind of for emotional support, I guess. I didn't think she would actually go through with this whole Canada thing. It was just trying to escape the situation she was in, I guess, with her dad.
Notice Liam is saying no while nodding yes. Incongruent words and body language are often a red flag that someone is being deceptive. The second detective has not said almost anything during the interrogation. He's likely there to just observe Liam's body language and to pick up anything the other detective may have missed. The detective sits in silence after Liam is done responding to his question. This is a common tactic to get someone to offer more details or to begin talking again unprompted. People often feel awkward with prolonged silences and will start talking again to quell this awkward feeling. This is exactly what happened here, and Liam offers up more details. The detective will likely use this technique again as it's proven to be effective with this suspect.
What time did Liam get back home?
He wasn't back from work until like 11 and 12.
Between 11 and 12?
Yeah.
You got home? Do you remember what you were doing when he came home?
That's the number judge for that Xbox.
That's when he came home?
Yeah.
Did you play Xbox for hours? Yeah. Does he normally get home that time, or?
I don't know. We're just moving into the place, so we're just getting used to him, like, in his work schedule and everything.
And what makes you think between 11 and 12 versus 12 and 1 or 10 and 11? Like, how do you know, like, between 11 and 12 he came home?
It was definitely before midnight.
Preston says Liam got home around 11 or 12, which is later than the time Liam gave at his interrogation, where he said 10.
I was off sometime around 10 o'clock.
The detective's confrontation of Preston is very passive. Asking him to try to explain the discrepancy would have put more pressure on Preston. At an interrogation, police are allowed to discuss what other suspects have said to them, and even lie about what was said or discussed. The detective has a good opportunity to play the suspects against each other. It's proven to be a very useful tactic to tell one suspect that the other blamed them for things to see if they then disclose information about the other.
So, you guys go to bed, and what happens from there?
Well, the next thing was at 4 in the morning, the police came, pounded on the door. They asked him a couple of questions.
Wait, did you get up when you heard the door knock?
I didn't even hear it. He just came in, woke me up like 5 minutes after everyone left.
What do you say?
He's like, dude, the police were just here. I was like, what? And he's like, we just asking a bunch of questions about there. So, and then the next morning we got the news from his mom. What happened.
So you're fast asleep at this point? Yeah. He comes into your room?
Yeah.
How does he wake you up?
He just opened the door and I woke up.
Okay. And you were looking at him like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So, what?
And he tells you the police were there, asking questions about Sarah?
Yeah.
And did you say, like, why are they coming here? Like, what was, tell us about the conversation.
I looked at him and was like, what do you mean? It's like, I don't know.
Until now, Preston has shown very little emotion. However, at this point, he hits his hand on the table slightly, but enough that it makes a sound each time. This is the first time he makes any sort of real gesture of any kind. This also happens to be when he's answering questions about when the police arrived. He says Liam just came in his room, woke him up and told him the cops were there asking questions about Sarah. This casual interaction between the boys doesn't seem feasible. Any normal person would find this rather disturbing and would lead to a lot of conversation, perhaps phone calls to friends, etc. It's hard to believe that after the police come to your house about a girl you've known for many years, you wouldn't ask more questions or be able to just roll over and go back to sleep with no concern or curiosity. The detective doesn't confront Preston about this. Preston acts out the expression he made when he was woken up by Liam. He makes arm and facial gestures showing how he was startled awake by Liam when the police arrived. For the first time, there was some expression of emotion here and movement that we haven't seen before in Preston during the interview. It could be that Preston is trying to sound more convincing here.
When Liam goes to work and you're at home, you're playing Xbox or you're taking a nap or whatever you're doing, does Liam come home at any point?
Yeah, there were 2 times he ran home to see if I found his phone. He was trying to look for it. And then both times he just ran right back.
So he came back home twice?
Yeah.
Looking for his phone? How long did he stay each time?
Not long, 2-3 minutes. And it's like, all right, I gotta get back to work.
Preston now changes his story, saying that Liam came home twice during his shift at the restaurant. This is a pretty large detail to leave out and also seems rather unusual. Waiters are rarely able to walk out of a restaurant on a Friday night during their shift once, let alone twice. Yet the detective doesn't even ask Preston why he didn't mention this earlier.
When you wake up on Saturday morning, did you start looking for it again?
Yeah, we looked around the house one more time and then we took off. It was Walmart.
Which Walmart did you go to?
The Super 166.
What time do you think you got there?
Sometime after 10.
Who went? Who drove?
I think he drove.
When asked who drove, there was an unusually long pause before Preston answered. This is unusual because firstly, it shouldn't be too difficult for him to recall whether it was him or Liam who drove. Secondly, it's unusual because so far, Preston hasn't paused this long to answer questions. When he finally answered that Liam drove, Preston avoided eye contact and just looked downward towards his hands or the table.
There's a lot of people, a lot of police officers, from the state police, to divers, to us, to the other detectives that you met over the weekend, trying to find Sarah. And there's a lot of resources involved here. I want you to make sure that I want to give you the opportunity, okay? Yeah. To be ahead of all of this. Mm-hmm.
The detective purposely uses the word opportunity to indicate that it would benefit Liam to tell them the truth or what he knows before they potentially find her body. Notice he starts this line of questioning by expressing how they have lots of divers and people looking for her to plant fear in Liam's mind that she will likely be found. This is an interrogation tactic commonly used by police. The police want to convey a sense that they are giving the suspect an opportunity to talk and to help themselves before it's too late. In truth, confessing will only help the police and the prosecution.
If she told you something, if she told you that she was going somewhere, if she told you that she was going to do something, you need to tell us. Yeah. Okay? I understand that you're very close friends with her. And she confided in you a lot. None of that matters now. Mm-hmm. Okay, because all of this, what we're doing is only going to escalate at this point. Yeah. Okay? So I want you to think very hard, okay, about your conversation. Take as much time as you need. Mm-hmm. I want you to think about your conversation that you had with Sarah on Friday. Mm-hmm. I want you to put yourself back in her house with her. And I want you to think about what the things that she said to you. Okay? Mm-hmm. One thing I want to talk to you guys about was if she did jump off the bridge, what are the odds that she's not somewhere all the way out in the ocean by now?
This is a notably strange question for Liam to ask and is very revealing about his mindset. Asking about whether her body would be out in the ocean by now if she jumped off the bridge could be Liam's way to feign concern that they won't find her.
And did she tell you she was going to jump off the bridge? No. If she had told me that she was going to jump off the bridge, there would have been no way that I could have gone to work that night. I went to work and I had one of the best nights of my life. I made a bunch of money. All my tables were good. I had a great time. It definitely, I would not have been able to do that if I knew something. Can you just hang tight right here? We're just going to step out for a minute. Yeah. All right, thanks. No problem.
The detectives take a break at this point, likely to strategize how to question him from here. They may want to change tactics of questioning and be more confrontational with him. They may also be leaving to come back with new evidence to present him with. Police also like to observe a suspect's behavior when left alone. It's not uncommon for suspects to change their behavior or even talk to themselves if left alone for a little while. Despite being on camera, suspects often show more of their true selves when left alone, as they aren't aware they're being watched. When the detective stepped out of the room, Liam appears to let out a sigh of relief. Liam sits with his head down and his arms crossed in a defensive posture. He looks uncomfortable and nervous sitting there. He puts his hands over his eyes, rubbing his face. These are all signs of distress. Liam appears to be briefly crying, which seems a little out of place if he truly believes his friend has just left to go live in Canada and isn't deceased as he keeps indicating. It's not uncommon for some suspects to cry when they are left alone, as the gravity of what is happening or what they did sometimes sets in when left alone with their thoughts.
As you're driving down, what street? Not Holly Street.
Bradley Street.
Bradley Street?
Yeah, we were going down Bradley Street where we would have made a left and then the right with our mom. Go down the street and she waved at us as we drove by. Okay. And we turned after her and she turned off onto a side street. And we got out behind her.
And what did she say?
She said Sarah's missing. She started to break down a little bit and she was like, alright, just back over to my house, and that's when all the detectives showed up.
What did Liam say when his mom said that Sarah was missing?
He started to cry a little bit and then just hugged his mom.
Did he ask her any questions?
He didn't ask anything until we got back to the house.
I'm sure you had a million questions about what happened. So I would imagine, as any reasonable person, friend, whatever, family member, you probably asked any questions, right? What kind of things did you ask?
Well, once that actually became like an investigation, he got called in for another round of questioning. And I asked him, they don't ask you for another round of questioning for no reason. You gotta tell me, if you know something, you can trust me. And so, police have been asking him a lot of questions. He really doesn't know anything.
It's unusual that when they found out Sarah was missing, neither Preston nor Liam asked any questions about what had happened. The detective again lets this go without confrontation. Preston is being rather evasive and seems to be getting nervous. This is a good time for the detective to start confronting him, to be honest, but he doesn't.
What did Liam tell you about his day that he spent with her?
So nothing really seemed out of the ordinary.
What did he tell you that they did?
Didn't really share any details. I didn't ask him.
Why wouldn't you ask him? I mean, aren't you interested in knowing? I know you were at work, you weren't with her. But isn't it just reasonable to think, dude, she's missing? What did you guys do? Where did you guys go? What did she say to you? It doesn't seem just like...
I was just asking him if she seems to be acting different at all. And said that there really wasn't anything about it that seemed suspicious.
How did you find out that he was with her?
He mentioned it later on in the time.
What did he tell you?
That birthday Saturday.
He didn't tell you on Friday when you guys were hanging out drinking?
No, it didn't come up in conversation.
So he told you on Saturday? After his mom told you?
Yeah.
When when he woke you up in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning? What time?
He said it was
4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
You go back to sleep and you wake up, did you follow up with him? Why were the cops here? What was going on?
Didn't really think about it being however crowded in the morning.
The cops come to your house on a regular basis? This is the first time they came to your house?
Yeah.
The detective is finally being confrontational with Preston about his lack of curiosity about the police being at their home at 4 a.m. It's very hard to believe that Preston doesn't remember anything after midnight that night.
So, Liam wakes up on Saturday and he doesn't talk about Sarah? The cops were just at the house a couple hours earlier asking questions about her and he's not talking to you about her?
I asked them why they were there, but I really don't remember the conversation. I can't recall.
So you're having a conversation with all these people about Sarah, who is the police were at your house 4 o'clock in the morning. She's missing. You just find out that her car is found on the bridge. And now Liam is telling you that he was with her. And you don't remember anything that he said to you? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah.
You have no recollection at all about what he told you he did with her?
The detective continues with a confrontational tone. By summarizing the answers Preston has given, the detective is showing that he doesn't find his version of events believable. As well, the second detective's body language, leaning back in his chair with his arms crossed, also helps to display that he isn't buying the story Preston is telling. This adds some non-verbal pressure to Preston.
Did he say that he was at her house? Did he say that they went to the movies? Did he say that they went to the beach? What did he say they did?
If you did say anything, I missed it.
Okay. How did you know that he was even with her?
It was asked why are they questioning you, and he said, well, I was the last person with her yesterday.
Okay. And did anybody say, what did you do? Nobody?
I don't think so.
So his mom is crying out in the street, and Liam is now crying, and nobody's asking him, like, so what did you say? Well, there's no questions at all. Did he say they went to lunch, went out to breakfast, went to the movies?
Really don't recall.
Was there any conversation about it?
I don't think so.
At any point, was there ever any conversation? Does anybody care about any, like, asking any of these questions? Like,
It's been the main topic of conversation.
what's been the main topic of conversation?
In general, like anything that's popped up.
Okay. What kind of things have popped up in conversation?
Relationship with her dad, online community thing.
Notice that the list of topics Preston shares are all the same ones that had been discussed during Liam's interrogation. This is a pretty good indication that the boys tried to make sure they were consistent in their stories before Preston came in. This seems especially likely since some of the topics seem rather trivial considering the circumstances.
But all these things are coming out about her relationship with her dad, but it's still not coming out what Liam and Sarah did on the day that she disappeared.
I didn't think to ask him about it.
What's that?
I didn't think to ask him about it, no.
You never volunteered any information. You never said, we went to the movies and we watched the movie, or we watched, I went to her house and we ate lunch and we watched TV. None of that never came up in the conversation.
No. Some subjects or...
Preston, good friend goes missing. Good friends help find the person who's missing. Right?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You know?
I do.
The detective is implying in various ways that their behavior, or lack thereof, is not typical of friends who think a good friend is missing. He isn't explicitly saying that, but the message is clear. This makes Preston think that he isn't coming off credibly, and the detective hopes this will get him to crack. He may have been more successful if he posed the question and stopped talking. By continuing to speak, it takes the pressure off of Preston.
You all right?
Yeah.
Where did we leave off?
Talking about the conversation we had before I left.
Yeah.
And, I haven't thought of anything, but I must have been about video games. So I thought we were done.
What did she tell you? You know, about her wanting to leave?
Nothing. Besides her wanting to go to Canada. She didn't say she had some conspiracy. She didn't say she was going to run away. She just...
You haven't told us about the bank.
Yeah.
How come you haven't told us about the bank?
Though he didn't mention it before when he was telling the detectives the timeline of his day, Liam and Sarah had gone to the Kearney Bank and were seen on CCTV.
Well, I told him about the bank, but...
Did you go to the bank?
I was with her.
Okay.
It's the way back from Taco Bell.
What bank did you go to?
It's in Bradley Beach, called Kearney.
And what did you do at the bank?
No idea, I didn't go in.
You stayed in the car?
Yeah.
They have begun using the Reed technique of confronting the suspect with evidence related to the crime. This will likely increase the suspect's stress level even more, and they hope this may cause him to get tripped up or, ideally, confess. This is also a rather large detail to leave out in his prior accounting of their activities that day.
Why did she stop at the bank? What did she tell you she was stopping at the bank for?
Something to do with her money. I don't know. She had found money in Avon House a few months ago. And, she has a lockbox full of money in there. I don't know. She was taking money out, putting money in there.
A lockbox full of money where?
In Carney Bank.
How do you know?
She's told me.
What did she tell you about that?
It's just that that's where her money is.
The detectives bring up the money Sarah had as it establishes a possible motive for Liam. Initially, Liam acts like he doesn't know much about the money, but as he continues to speak, he keeps revealing more and more details. The detective never throws out the possibility or asks if maybe she was killed for the money to get a response from Liam. Since money is such a common motive, it's a logical question to ask and puts more pressure on Liam, and seeing how he responds would have been useful.
Whose money did she find?
She said that it must have belonged to her mother, which she thought was her mom left it for her, hid it in the house, so if her dad were to take her money, she would still have money left for her by her mom.
That's how much money?
You couldn't tell you. She never told me. She said it could be, she told me a range. She said it could be from 20 grand to 100 grand. She wasn't sure.
She wasn't sure how much money she found?
Yeah.
How does that make sense to you? That you wouldn't be sure how much money you found?
Well, she told me the condition of the money was pretty bad. Like it was all stuck together. Well, it was old bills.
Did she give you any of the money?
No. None. I do know that Robert Santamon is another person that knows about the money besides me, though. Because she had told me that he needed to get something done with his car, and he was asking her for money. But that's the only person I know that would have an idea of how much money it would be.
Liam states that her friend Robert also knew about the money. This appears to be an attempt to establish him as another potential suspect.
What did she say about Canada on Friday?
I don't even remember if we discussed it. Everything's just like blending together at this point.
Once again, there are inconsistencies in Liam's statements that weren't there previously. He first stated they talked about Sarah going to Canada, and then that they may have. He has now twice relied on saying that everything is a blur, which seems to be an attempt to explain away any mistakes he makes in his recollection.
Do you remember talking to her? Do you remember her talking on the phone while you were at the house?
Not that I know of. She had been just taking calls from multiple family members over the past few weeks. Everyone saying how worried they were about her. So,
Friday was the second.
Somebody easily could have called her and had a conversation.
Liam claims family members were calling her saying how worried they were about her, but the detectives seemed to move past it without asking more questions. This piece of information could have given them more insight into what was going on in Sarah's life and her mindset just before she went missing.
Have you cried about it?
Yeah, that first morning.
Saturday morning? When you were in the car?
While we were at the house.
Okay.
Just like that. So,
okay. What was told to you that made you become emotional about it?
well, until the detectives and everyone came over and started asking questions, everyone just jumped to the assumptions and jumped.
Has anybody told you that she's jumped? What do you think's happened?
She jumped.
Okay, why do you think she jumped?
From the stories that I've heard about what goes on with her and her dad. And apparently the dad was being like kicked out of the house, or Sarah's being put in charge of the house, taking care of her grandma.
Did Dad being kicked out of the house?
I'm not sure verbatim, but there's the whole situation going on with like the family in the house.
He begins to cry when he responds and then seems to immediately stop as he continues to talk. His breakdown seems insincere as it lasts only seconds. This is also the first time Preston has demonstrated any emotion at all, even if it is insincere. He may also be crying from stress or fear of being caught.
My mom did stop by before to check on us. Do you mind if I go out there and just let her know that? Don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. Do you want us to bring your mom back here, or you want to go out there? Want to go out there and see her? No, we'll take a break. Yeah, we can go out there and take her out. Yeah.
Preston requests to speak to his mom and to take a break. The detectives return to continue questioning Preston about 35 minutes later.
Your mom and dad are still here. They went away for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you wake up. You said you woke up around what time on Saturday?
Around like 10 o'clock.
Around 10 o'clock. So when you get up at 10 o'clock, do you remember coming out of your room?
Yeah.
All right. What do you do when you come out of your room?
When they return, the detectives immediately begin asking him questions again, perhaps to try to unsettle him into revealing something.
What's Liam doing?
Smoke a cigarette. I think he's always sitting on the couch.
He was up first.
Yeah.
Right. At what point do you have a conversation with him about the police showing up at the house at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time you're there?
Preston takes a very long pause. He knows he has already answered this question and may be trying to remember what he had said previously. The detectives appear to be checking that Preston's timeline of events matches Liam's. He continues taking long pauses before responding, as though he's trying to watch what he says. This is, of course, in stark contrast to Preston's usual response style, which was more immediate responses to questions with little to no pauses.
I asked him what the police were there for last night, and they said they were just asking questions about like where he was.
Where he was?
Yeah. And I looked at him like, obviously it doesn't happen normally. And it's like, I don't know, but they had some questions about Sarah. And I asked him what it was about. He said he had no clue.
Did he tell you specifically anything about Sarah? While you're in the house that night playing video games, he comes home how many times the first time?
At least once, I think it was twice.
Twice. Are you drinking at that point?
Me, no.
Are you smoking? You're just by yourself. Just not doing anything.
Yeah.
Okay. How confident are you one time Liam got home?
Fairly confident it was around 11 o'clock. If it wasn't 11 o'clock, it had to be after.
So you don't think it was before 11 o'clock?
No.
And what makes you think 11 o'clock?
I'm not sure what it is, but somewhere in, like, that night, I just remember looking at the clock and it being around 11 o'clock.
At that point, have you had anything to drink? Have you smoked at that point?
Maybe on the
The detective continues to ask him questions Preston has already answered and asks him to confirm his prior responses. This technique can backfire if the suspect then replies, "I don't know," or "I'm not certain." If they respond this way, it adds uncertainty to the suspect's prior timeline that has been previously established and allows the suspect to show he isn't lying, but just isn't sure. It's better to have a suspect answer once and then lock them into that answer.
I was texting with my girlfriend at the time. I can see if the conversation goes back that far. It automatically deletes after 200 messages.
Preston shows some transparency here when he takes out his phone in front of the detectives. This shows his willingness to answer some of the questions. It's interesting that the detectives don't ask permission to take Preston's cell phone when there is likely useful evidence contained in it. Cell phones often provide a ton of important data for the police, and a suspect's refusal to hand it over can be telling in and of itself.
How has Liam's demeanor been the last couple of days?
I mean, you can tell it's mostly like a facade that he's trying to just like, he's okay, like trying to be tough about it, but definitely pretty upset about it. He hasn't really been, he's normally a pretty upbeat person, and that's like pretty much all we disagree.
Is he talking about Sarah?
No.
When Preston was asked how Liam's demeanor has been in the last couple of days, Preston responds by again using his hands, but this time to show that Liam was trying to be tough. Preston doesn't make facial expressions while speaking, and his voice is monotone pretty much across the board. So when he uses his hands, it's possible that he's lying. The random nature of his sudden use of hand gestures indicates that something is different about what he's saying at that moment. He used the same awkward gestures when he banged his hand on the table earlier, and when he impersonated himself being startled awake.
Did you communicate with Sarah at any point after you left her house that day?
No, I didn't have my phone. I actually left work while I was at work to go to my house, tear everything apart looking for my phone.
What do you mean you didn't have your phone?
I didn't have my phone on me that night.
Where was your phone?
I have no idea. Still don't know. You guys have it now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what happened with my phone that day, but I just remember going to work, realizing I didn't have it, and yeah. My mom told me that they found the phone in the Draper's driveway. I could have lost it when I was moving.
So you didn't realize you lost your phone until you got to work?
Yeah. I tried not to use my phone as much as possible.
Why?
I don't know. Distraction. All different social medias. And just call, text. I don't really use it too often.
So you don't think you use your phone a lot?
No. I mean, I'd say probably like an average person. Nothing too crazy.
What kind of phone do you have?
I have a Samsung Galaxy, I think it's I don't even know what it's called. Now it's dead, so I couldn't.
That's your new phone?
Yeah, it's the one I just bought at Walmart Saturday morning.
And why'd you buy that phone?
Couldn't find my other phone, and I need a phone. I have multiple employers and stuff like that, so.
Liam immediately contradicts himself. He has changed his answer to how often he uses his phone 3 times. Likely after the initial lie, he realized that the detectives could easily obtain his phone records and see his usage.
Did you try reaching Sarah after you left her house?
No, there's no way I could have.
Your house line?
My house line?
Yeah.
I don't have a house line. I live in a house with my roommate. I have my cell phone. He has his cell phone.
What about at your mom's house? It's right on the same property, right?
Yeah. Pretty much, but no, I just went straight to work. Straight home, straight to work.
The detective intentionally looks at his notepad and then asks Liam a question. He may or may not have been referring to notes, but he wants Liam to think he already has evidence to support the answer to the question he's posed. This is another common technique police will use, even referring to blank paper sometimes to give the impression they have evidence they don't in fact have. This tactic works extremely well with many suspects.
She called your number from her house line a couple of times.
My cell phone number?
Why was she doing that? Why? It would be during a time that you were there at the house.
While I was at the house? Well, what time would that be at?
Because in the afternoon or right around the time that you left to go to work.
Did you tell her that you lost your phone?
I didn't even know that I lost my phone.
Well, when you went to work.
No, because there was no way I could have communicated with her.
Do you know her house number?
No. No idea.
Liam's statements aren't adding up. The fact that Sarah had been calling his phone at times he claims he was with her doesn't make sense and is very suspicious. Yet the detective doesn't ask him any more questions about it and never really presses Liam on anything. Instead, he moves past a lot of his statements that either don't make sense or contradict themselves. The detective again sits in silence, waiting for Liam to fill the void. Liam's excessive nodding starts up again.
We have had situations where she's tried to hurt herself in the past that I actually didn't even remember. It wasn't until Maggie called me yesterday and reminded me.
How long ago was that?
3 years ago.
Any close friend of Sarah would be genuinely concerned and distressed when recounting this story about how she tried to hurt herself. Instead, Liam is simply sitting there for over an hour, spilling all of his close friends' dirty laundry and implying that Sarah might have taken her own life, all the while not being a bit concerned about her. People with antisocial or narcissistic personality disorder often engage in smear campaigns where they will speak very negatively and very convincingly about someone, often spreading lies, exaggerations of the truth, or even just their own negative theories or suspicions about someone. It's a method that the APD person uses to do damage control when they fear they will be exposed, or when they are trying to get out of trouble. They will do it to family, friends, their own partner, or anyone who threatens to expose them.
You helped her box up all these personal belongings. And you helped her carry these belongings to a neighbor's house. And you accepted belongings. Did you accept the bins on Friday as well, or this week? How did they get to your house?
We dropped it off. It wasn't on Friday though. It was 3 days ago.
Okay.
This isn't the first time we've done something like this.
So, just hear me out. It doesn't make sense that you would do all these things and you would go out to lunch with her, and on the way back from Taco Bell, you would you'd stop at the bank so she can take care of her money, and then you ask no questions. You don't inquire about anything, she doesn't share anything with you.
Well, I've known about it. So I don't know what she could have told me. She hasn't already told me.
What she's doing at the bank. I mean, if I was in the car here, I got to stop at the ATM to grab cash.
Well, she was just like,
I got to deposit this check.
It's like I have to stop by the bank. That's all it was to it. He was like, all right, I'll stay in the car. Stay in the car, watch a YouTube video or something, and then we were at her house. We ate to Taco Bell.
What did you do in the car? Did you have your phone in the car?
Yeah.
At that point, you had the phone in the car? Yeah. So you had already dropped the belongings off across the
I didn't even realize that I did have my phone on at that point. Yeah.
The detective now confronts Liam, but only slightly. An accusation or confrontation of guilt will sometimes be enough to get someone to crack. It can also get someone to clam up and stop talking, but the detective should take that risk at this point in the interrogation, because they haven't gotten very far with Liam. Liam slips up and catches himself lying about having his phone. The detective has made it clear he doesn't buy the story Liam is telling him, which likely is adding stress to Liam.
Because I was using my phone to entertain myself while she was in the bank. So I did have my phone on me in her car.
The detective sits in silence again, waiting for him to keep talking. This technique has proven useful on Liam, so he deploys it repeatedly. A lot of interrogation is trial and error, as people can differ in terms of what gets them talking and what techniques work for them.
When was the initial phone call? Was it 1 o'clock?
That you communicated with her?
Yeah.
It was, just before 1 o'clock.
Yeah. It must have been 1:30, 2 o'clock when I got to her house.
The detective begins pulling documents out of a file pocket that looks to contain phone records, while he asks Liam about the timing of his day and calls. This is to try to make him feel like the detective already knows the answers to the questions he's asking. Liam has been caught in numerous lies surrounding his phone activity and a few other details, but hasn't confessed to any involvement in Sarah's disappearance.
Doing okay? Yeah. All right. I told the guy out there that my car's parked on Main Street. I don't know if I've been here for 2 hours yet, but... No, you'll be all right. You'll be okay. Don't worry about that. You're fine. We stepped out of the room. You're probably wondering where we were going. Your dad is here right now. Your dad came down. Yeah. Did you tell him that you came? You told him that you were coming down here? I was coming here. Yeah. So your mom contacted an attorney on your behalf, and your dad contacted an attorney on your behalf. So there's now 2 attorneys that are expressing an interest to represent you. We're not going to talk to you any further today. We do appreciate you coming down. Yeah. If you hang tight here, I think your dad and maybe one of the attorneys I don't know would want to talk to you. So kind of just if you don't mind. Yeah. No. You don't have to, but we're done. Talking to you at this point for today. So we appreciate it. Okay. All right. Thanks, Lynn. Thank you. No problem. Bye, Lynn. Good. Thank you again. It's just about 4:55. We'll bring them right in for you. Okay. Talk to you. Okay. Thank you. No problem. I'm just going to pull this closer. Yeah.
The detectives were unsuccessful in obtaining a confession, but they have caught Liam in numerous inconsistencies and nailed down a timeline. It appears they suspect Liam knows more than he's letting on. However, they will now have to find other ways to get evidence, since he'll likely not be giving any more statements to them based on his attorney's advice. The detective may have been more successful in confronting Liam with more direct accusations and questions surrounding Sarah's actual disappearance and pressing him on the fact that they don't believe she left for Canada. They never mention the possibility of foul play at all, which is a distinct possibility. They should have asked more open-ended questions and then asked more follow-up questions on statements Liam made.
You don't know that Liam and Sarah have any kind of relationship other than friendship, do you? Do you have any kind of romantic relation or anything like that? No. Actually, the 2 things I was going to wait until you guys were all done with questions and everything. To Neptune's junior prom, I was Sarah's date just because she didn't have anybody that had asked her. Mm-hmm. I didn't have anybody to ask. They were like, just take Sarah with you. Everybody just said, yeah. And I did try to make them advance on her, and she didn't want anything to have to do with it.
Preston likely reveals this information unprompted because he knows the police will uncover it anyway. It's strange that he waited to mention this until now, especially since he was asked explicitly about his relationship with Sarah and how well he knew her. A friend trying to help would normally want to offer as much information and detail as possible to help with the investigation.
I don't know if you guys already know about her and your friend Maggie Wozak from Wall. They were really good friends growing up, and then sometime within the past year or two, apparently she threatened me towards Maggie in a way. I remember when that whole ordeal came up, Maggie was pretty upset about it. That was right before she went away for college.
Who'd you hear that from?
From William, James, Josh, the whole group.
She threatened.
I don't know what exactly was going on, but a little after when her mother passed, and in the time that Maggie was going away to college, they were really good friends that had come up in conversation a few times. And Maggie herself, she was dating Liam early on in high school. So they're still good friends. Maggie said that Sarah ever did anything to herself, that Maggie would do it too. And we've reached out to Maggie, and she's definitely okay.
Preston also now offers information to corroborate Liam's theory that Sarah possibly took her own life. This may be something he and Liam discussed, and he realized he'd forgotten to mention it earlier. The detective intentionally sits in silence to see if Preston will elaborate unprompted, to keep speaking.
What else would be important for us to know that we didn't miss?
Those are really a lot of things I could think of outside of questions.
Did Liam talk to you about our conversation with him? Did you ask him questions about it?
Other than what it was all about.
And how did he seem okay after talking to us?
He definitely seemed like a little exhausted.
He seemed exhausted?
Yeah, like out of his words.
Is that?
It's like a little out of his words.
Out of his wits?
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions for us, or anything that we can do for you? I know your mom and your dad are out in the lobby there.
Yeah.
We'll take you home.
Yeah. No, do you guys have numbers that I can take down?
Yeah,
in case I do remember.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks very much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
The interrogation ends without the detectives getting a confession. But this wasn't the end of the story, and what was about to be revealed was more horrifying than anyone could have ever imagined. Despite some of the suspicious answers that both Liam and Preston gave during their interrogations, the police had no solid evidence to connect either of them to Sarah's disappearance. At this point, it's still unclear what had even happened to Sarah. Did she run away to Canada? Did she take her own life by jumping off the bridge? Or had something far more sinister happened to her? There was no sign of Sarah, no body, and no one was admitting knowing anything. The only thing that was clear was that something wasn't quite right with the stories Liam and Preston were telling. Sarah's disappearance remained a mystery for a few months and was investigated by authorities as a missing persons case. That is, until someone came forward with information that finally blew the case wide open.
What are they questioning?
Oh yeah, a lot.
About what?
About killing Sarah. They've been, they were up my ass. First it was just normal police. They were on my ass and I had to go in and get interrogated by them multiple times. But then it kept moving up levels and now it's a federal case. They've got the FBI.
So you've been laying low, I guess.
Oh yeah. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part of it is I thought I was walking out 50 grand, 100 grand in my pocket.
Right.
She had one safe and she took money out and she only had 10 grand. And this money, I don't know if it was burnt or something. It's old money, terrible quality.
Right.
I don't even know if I can put any of it in the fucking bank.
Right, because it'll probably look sketchy, right?
It looks sketchy and it'll look like it's Sarah's money, especially if it's a federal investigation.
Right.
If they're looking for the guy who has the old money.
Right, because it's probably like the old dollar bills. It's not like the new because the $100 bills are changed now.
Exactly. No, it's from the 80s, dude. It's old. And then...
What, she found it in their house or something?
Huh?
She found it in their house?
Yeah. Spent a lot of money. And I didn't even get a quarter of it.
So you only got like, what, seven grand, you said?
Somewhere around there.
And you spent it all?
No, I haven't even tried to do anything with it because it's in such bad shape.
Yeah, you can't even use it.
Like, I need to play low and then maybe, like, tape some shit up and see if I can put it in the bank.
So what, do you have it hidden or something?
Yeah.
Where'd you hide it?
Sandy Hook. First it was in my house for a long time, but then I stopped trusting Preston.
Yeah, what's the deal with Preston? Was he...
No, he's cool.
Did he end up, like, helping you with it or not?
Oh, yeah.
Sarah wasn't missing. Liam had murdered her. One of Liam's friends, Anthony Curry, had been interviewed by police that same December about Sarah's disappearance. A month later, on January 24th, Anthony came to the police to tell them that he actually knew something about Sarah's case. He revealed that Liam had told him on Thanksgiving that he was planning to rob and kill Sarah for the money her mother had left her and that she had just found. He went on to claim that at first, because Anthony was a filmmaker, he thought Liam was pitching him an idea for a movie when he talked about killing Sarah. However, he soon learned that wasn't the case at all, and Liam had actually killed her. Anthony told police that over the past month he'd grown terrified of Liam and began to worry that Liam was going to kill him or hurt his family, presumably because of what he knew. After revealing all of this to the police, Anthony was asked to secretly record his conversations with Liam, and he agreed. A week later, on the 31st, Anthony secretly videotaped Liam. We can imagine that he was probably more than just a little nervous as he drove over to meet up with Liam, who he would soon realize was a cold-blooded killer, singing along with tunes to likely attempt to calm his nerves.
It's good, money.
What's happening, bro?
How you doing?
How you doing?
You want a cigarette?
Nah, I'm good. I quit them.
Okay.
I was smoking a lot of cigarettes while I was tripping.
Really?
Yeah. I tripped for like 2 months straight.
What were you doing?
Sitting around.
What you been up to?
Hiding from the cops.
What happened?
Dude, you can't blame me for doing this, right? I gotta feel you up real quick, alright?
You're good.
No disrespect.
I'll show you.
No disrespect, okay?
Nothing.
Yeah, I got the FBI on my ass, dude. I had planned Sarah's situation for me to be interrogated by cops. Like, that was whole part of my plan, to make me look not guilty.
What did you end up throwing off the plane?
You didn't hear about it? It was all over the news.
Right, but I didn't know if you went through.
Yeah. And the worst part is, we threw her off the bridge, and the body never showed up.
It's probably frozen.
It's probably all the way out in the ocean.
And it's frozen, so she's not coming up anytime soon. Everybody's probably at the bottom of the ocean, or she got eaten by a shark or something.
Yeah.
Bro, this is like a movie, bro.
Yeah. And, dude. Alright, so I'm hanging out with her. She has... We went to the bank. She took some money out. Not all of her money. We're counting it out, and then she goes to walk out the front door. I choke her out, drag her. My biggest problem was the dog, and her dog laid there and watched as I killed her. Didn't do anything. Her f***ing dog. What kind of dog? Yeah, what kind of dog is that? It's like some...
Was it a big dog?
It looks like a beagle, but it's like the size of a Great Dane.
Jeez. Nobody was there? Grandmother was
No,
there?
nobody was there. Even her dad wasn't there. He was in Florida.
Yeah, you said that he was going away.
So, I have to leave. I f***ing dropped my phone at Sarah's house. My phone was at Sarah's house. Like...
Wait, you left your phone?
Yeah, I lost it. I couldn't find it. I had to go to work. I had timed everything out so that...
Why did you take your phone? You should have left it in your f***ing pocket.
Dude.
What were you doing?
Strangling someone? I couldn't find it, dude. It ended up being out in the driveway.
Oh, it must have dropped out of your pocket.
It must have dropped when I was crawling to get in the car.
At one point, while the boys are talking in Anthony's car, someone knocks on the window and asks for a ride, which they refuse.
Who's that?
Oh, how do you roll this window down?
It's over here.
Can you guys do me a huge favor? Give me a ride, like, right down the road?
Nah, I can't. I got so much in my back. I'm sorry. I can't.
Really?
Yeah.
Please?
Nah, I really can't. I'm sorry about that. I mean, weird.
That's a crackhead. Maybe.
She looked all fucking junky out or something.
Yeah. Nah.
Nah, hell no, I'm not giving you a ride so she could steal my fucking equipment and
Get out of here. You don't know who you're talking to. You're talking about killing people, you're gonna ask me for a ride?
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh.
And it seems that Anthony had good reason to worry that Liam or even Preston might do something to him or his family because of what he knew.
You are the only person on this planet that knows, besides Preston. And Preston doesn't know that you know. And I think we should probably get back to our house.
Because I gotta head back to Brooklyn.
Word.
I got work at 6 a.m.
Because Preston doesn't like this idea.
Right.
He doesn't like that you didn't just come to the house. And if he knows that you know, I don't want him. I don't want there to be a chance.
I'm not no f***ing rat, bro.
Yeah.
You don't have to question me. I'm in Brooklyn. The cops haven't questioned me.
I know you're not a rat, but we gotta play it safe. Anyone?
No, yeah, I understand. Yeah.
It could be anyone, and I don't want Preston to think that he has to kill you and take you out because you are the only person that knows. Because I've tried to imply that you might know, and he gets really upset.
Yeah.
So
maybe don't tell him.
Don't tell him.
Don't tell him.
Yeah. But you're the only person besides Preston that knows. And I told you that in the beginning. That's how it was going to be. I planned this thing out for like 6 months.
Without Anthony coming forward, Liam may have gotten away with it. Liam McAtasney was arrested on February 2nd, 2017.
Sure.
As you can see, Liam was brought into an interrogation room in handcuffs. His demeanor doesn't look like that of a person who killed his childhood friend in cold blood after sharing a meal together and planning the crime for half a year, all for a small amount of cash. He spends the next few hours sitting alone with his head bent, occasionally shifting in his seat. Investigators suspected that Preston Taylor knew a lot more about what happened than he let on in his initial interview, so he was also brought in for questioning. While Liam remains quiet, Preston, on the other hand, finally had a lot to say.
All right, Preston, you can have a seat right over here. We'll be right with you, okay, man?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
While Liam was handcuffed, Preston was not. This could be an indication that the police want Preston to feel like he isn't as guilty as Liam. That way, they may be able to earn his trust and use it against Liam. After being left alone, Preston looks around the room and bites his nails. He appears nervous and uncomfortable. The detective instructs him where to sit and strategically places him furthest from the door. The room is stark and has nothing on the walls or inside it besides some chairs and a table. This is done intentionally to not distract the suspect and to make them feel on edge.
All right, hey, Preston. Sorry to keep you waiting, man. How you doing, all right?
Yeah.
You remember me from December?
Yeah.
My name is Brian Weisbrot. I'm a detective with the prosecutor's office. And I don't know if you ever met Detective Volbrecht, Mike Volbrecht from Neptune City. He was not with us when we had spoken with you down in Belmar.
Yeah.
But I first just want to tell you thank you for cooperating, coming down today to talk to us. We appreciate it. I know you had said you have a lot of questions. We had spoken to you out in the car and transported you here. I told you that we were not going to talk to you in the car. We wanted to do it in the setting. Talking to you in a car is not appropriate. So we'll get to all your questions. We're happy to answer anything that you have. We do want to talk to you. And before we do talk to you, I do need to provide you with your Miranda rights.
The two detectives are very friendly as they think Preston is ready to confess fully. They read him his Miranda warnings and have him initial after each right to indicate that he understands them. This is the best practice, especially with a suspect who is either young, uneducated, or unfamiliar with the criminal justice system.
Preston, obviously, you know why Mike and I want to talk to you today. It's the same reason why Detective Mahoney and I spoke to you back in December. Okay, it's about Sarah. We know what happened to Sarah. Ever since she was reported missing, the Neptune City Police Department, the Belmar Police Department, and the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office has been working tirelessly to find out what happened to her, and we did. Okay, we know what your involvement in it was. All right, we want to talk to you about that. All right, what we're most interested in knowing, not necessarily what happened, because we already know that. We want to know why it happened. All right, we want to know why Liam did what he did.
What did he do?
He killed Sarah. Okay? And we know you know that. Right? You know that. Correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. That's what we want to talk to you about. All right? I want you to know that We understand that people put themselves in positions that, looking back, they regret. We get it. You're a 19-year-old kid. You have a whole life ahead of you, all right? You got to lay it out for us as to why it happened, all right, and why he did what he did.
Money.
Okay. How much money are we talking about?
He said that she had anywhere from upwards of $50,000 to $150,000 left to her in cash from her mom.
Okay. Where did she get the money?
From her mom when she passed away.
Okay.
She found it's his story. She found a box in their old house in Avon that they keep just for storage that had a note and a whole bunch of money, and he wanted to try and get his hands on as much of it as possible.
Okay.
The detective immediately begins the confrontation step of the Reed technique. This step is when the interrogator informs the suspect of the evidence against them, implying in a confident manner that they already know the suspect is involved in the crime. The suspect's stress level increases, and the interrogator may invade the suspect's personal space to increase the discomfort. Here, the detective leans in towards Preston as he speaks. By minimizing the severity of the situation and downplaying the consequences of Preston's involvement, the detective hopes he will be more honest and forthcoming with them. At some point, either before Sarah was killed or shortly after, Liam had been bragging to his friends about having a lot of money, but later, when one friend asked to borrow money from him to buy a camera, Liam said he didn't have any. Liam refused to tell the friend why he no longer had money unless they spoke in person, but he added that he was running out of data on his phone and that he was unemployed. We now know that Liam had been expecting to steal a lot of money from Sarah. Instead of $50,000 to $100,000, Liam only found around $10,000. He once again ominously warns the friends that he can't explain what is going on over the phone.
Did he tell you ahead of time that he was going to do this?
Yeah.
All right. How long do you think he planned to do this?
About a month, which wasn't too serious at first.
Okay. Do you remember the first time he told you about it?
First time he told me about it, him and Sean came into Clancy's where I was working, and he just said, like, no intentions at this time, but Sarah just found a bunch of money, and that was it. And then it wasn't until about a month or two later he said that he was coming up with the idea.
Okay, what did he tell you he planned on doing?
Taking her out and then find somewhere to dispose of the body.
Okay, when you say taking her out, what do you mean?
Strangling her.
Okay. And then he was going to dispose of her body? Mm-hmm. All right, did he tell you what he planned to do with her body?
No.
Okay. How did you... I want to bring you back to the day that this happened. All right, do you remember what day of the week it was?
No.
All right, it was a Friday. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what you did that day? Did you work, go to school?
I went to work with my dad.
Do you remember where you worked?
Atlantic Highlands.
Okay. Doing a construction job?
Yeah, I was working with my dad. We were taking out a bathtub.
Okay.
And doing the whole bathroom remodel.
Okay.
And I got home just as he was getting ready to run out the door for work, and he was like, dude, I did it. I need you to follow me later with your car. And I just didn't really know what to do other than go along with it at that point.
Okay. When he said that he did it, did you know what that meant?
Yeah.
What did you take that to mean?
I took it as he killed Sarah.
Okay.
Said that her body was still at the house and that he needs to get rid of it tonight.
The detective is establishing premeditation. There's no legal obligation for Preston to report what Liam was planning, but helping him before or after the murder is a serious criminal offense. Despite being honest, Preston is using minimizing words to downplay the horrific nature of what Liam did to Sarah. He speaks in a monotone and is emotionless even though Sarah was his friend. The detective is establishing a timeline now that he thinks Preston will be more honest with them, and now that they have a better idea as to what really occurred. Without realizing it, Preston implicates himself further by stating that Liam simply said, "Dude, I did it," showing Preston was involved in the planning. If he hadn't been, he wouldn't have known what Liam meant by this very vague statement.
I got home just as he was getting ready to run out the door for work, and he was like, "Dude, I did it."
The detective catches this and has him confirm he knew what it meant so that he can't deny being involved in the planning later.
I choke her out, drag her into the back, put her in the bathroom, and then I had to go straight to work. So Preston came over, took the body, put it in the bushes, and then I was at work. I had a full night of work, except I left work a couple times, which looks sketchy. I look for my phone though, which is a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, you gotta look for your phone. Yeah, you can't.
Which is kind of me losing my phone was kind of a good thing, because the cops are like, oh, he's hanging out with her, he lost his phone, he's going back and forth between his house looking for it. And then I get off work that night, go straight over. Preston and I go over to her house, take her safe, bring that over to my house before we do anything. Then we take her body out of the bushes and drag it over to her back fence, and I crawl, get into her car, and I back up. There's a security camera across the street, so I had to act like her. I watched her every time she backed out. She does the same thing, so I backed out exactly like she did and drove off.
Did you put her in the trunk?
No, I put her in the passenger seat of her own car. And then Preston and I had these walkie-talkies to communicate with. We just used them again. So I was driving, and I had her buckled in the passenger seat.
So she looks like she's just sleeping.
She's just sitting up. And my plan was, for me, I underestimated my own strength and how much a dead body would weigh. Because
it's lint weight.
Yeah. I got up on top of the bridge to throw her off. My plan was I was going to throw her off, run over, jump over the divider, and get into Preston's car. And I go up, open the door, unhook her, pull her out, start dragging her to throw her over, and then cars start coming up. I see headlights coming. I try to get her over, and I can't. My leg up. The weight from her body made me fall, and my leg went up. So now I'm limping, my leg's up, and there's 3 cars coming up. So I grab her body. Dude, I had superhuman strength, and I threw it in the car, and I picked it up, and her feet were up here, and her head was down there, and 3 cars go by, and I'm losing my because that easily could have been a cop.
Yeah.
And then,
the police station is right there.
Yeah. And then Preston comes over the bridge, goes around, makes a U-turn, comes up behind me. The 2 of us throw the body over, and then we're out.
Oh, so you needed help?
I needed help, yeah. I pretty much hung her, I picked her up and had her just dangling off the ground, and she just pissed herself. And
because you lose control of your
said
body.
my name, and then that was it. And it took me a half an hour to kill her. I thought I was going to be able to choke her out and have her out in a couple minutes.
Choked her out for 30 minutes.
I choked her out, and then she was just laying there having a seizure or something. So then I got a shirt, and I just shoved it down her throat so she wouldn't throw up or anything, and held my finger over her nose and set a timer. That's the only time I had my phone. And it took me a half an hour after I hit start on the timer. This is the thing about heists. There's so much shit that you can't account for.
Because you don't know.
Yeah. You don't know until it happens.
Liam then went to work as though he hadn't just killed one of his closest friends. He likely continued on with his night as normal to have an alibi for at least part of the night and to appear like he wouldn't have had time to commit the crime and move her body. Preston is describing all of his actions as if Liam made him comply. There's no mention of Liam threatening him or otherwise forcing him to assist in this crime, and Preston is looking more and more like an accomplice and co-conspirator.
Did he tell you where her body was?
He said it was downstairs.
Okay. And what did he ask you to do?
He asked me to help him get her into the car, and he drove her car up the bridge with her, and I just came up behind and came up after me.
Okay. Now, prior to, you said you got home from work right around the time that he was going to work, right?
Yeah.
What time do you think that was about?
A little bit later, about 4 o'clock.
Okay.
It's still daylight.
Okay. Did he have you go to her house and move her before you got home from work? I see you're shaking your head. What does that mean?
Yes.
Okay. What did he ask you?
Mainly he wanted me to look for his phone because he dropped it.
He dropped his what?
His phone.
His phone, okay.
While he was there. And then he said
So you went over there by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you got to the house, was there anybody home?
No.
All right.
He said that her aunt and grandma were stopping by later. And that's why I had to be moved.
Okay. How did you get into the house?
He left the back door unlocked.
All right. And do you remember, did you drive your car over or another car?
I drove my car.
All right. And where did you park it?
I parked it across the street from Holly Street. There's that garage on the right, and there's a little dead-end street.
Okay.
Parked on the dead end and hopped the fence into her yard.
Okay, so you didn't pull up in front of her house?
No.
Okay. Were you by yourself or were you with somebody else?
I was by myself.
Okay.
Preston admitting he parked his car away from Sarah's house shows that he knew he was going over there to do more than look for Liam's phone. And what he was planning to do was something he didn't want anyone to see.
So you accessed the property from the back? Okay. And you went into the back door? And there was nobody else home? All right. And what did you see when you went into the house?
I saw her body in the downstairs back bathroom.
Okay. And can you describe what you saw when you went into that area there?
Just her body just laying over the toilet.
It was over the toilet?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was she wearing?
Pretty jeans.
Okay. Did you see anything unusual about her body? Did you see any?
Her being dead.
Okay. Did you see any blood? Did you see any bruising, any marks or anything on her body?
She was starting to turn pale and like a whitish purple color, but no like bruises or anything.
Okay. And you went into the back door. The bathroom is right pretty close to that back door?
Yeah, as soon as you go in, it's on the right.
Right. Did you go anywhere else in the house?
I went upstairs to look for Liam's phone.
Okay.
And I didn't find it.
Where in the house did you go? Look for his phone?
I looked in Sarah's room in the living room.
So did you leave Sarah in the bathroom or did you do something with her?
No, I pulled her out back.
Okay.
Just set her over on the side.
All right. So how did you carry her? Did you throw her over your shoulder? Did you drag her?
Just picked her up under her shoulders, dragged her.
Okay. And you took her out what door?
Back door.
Okay. And when you came out of the back door, did you go to the left or did you go to the right?
To the right.
Okay. So was that towards the driveway or away from the driveway?
Away from the driveway.
Okay.
For the first time, Preston seems upset. However, his reluctance to talk about this is to protect himself, not because of what he did to Sarah.
And how far, when you came out the back door, how far away from the door did you go?
About 15, 20 feet. Over to the bushes by the back fence.
Okay. Is there a shed there?
No.
Okay.
The casual way in which Preston discusses Sarah's dead body is disturbing. His tone never changes, and he seems completely unbothered.
It was dark out by the time I got over there. Got her outside, like the sun was just going down.
Okay. Were you able to see, or did you need a flashlight or something like that?
I was able to see.
Okay. So then you leave. You go back through the backyard to where your car was parked?
Yeah.
You got back in your car?
Yeah, I went back to our house.
Okay. Did you go back to your house or did you go back to your parents' house?
Back to my house. The one on 11 High.
What was that?
The one on 11 High.
Okay. And when you got back there, what did you do?
I sat on the couch, just waited.
Okay, waited for
Liam.
Preston admits that when he got back to the house, Liam wasn't there, and he sat on the couch waiting for him. This shows he had ample opportunity to go to the police or to discontinue his involvement, but actively chose not to.
He came home twice during work. The first time he was like, "Did you do it? Where's my phone?" Like freaking out. And I just said, "No, I did it. I don't know where your phone is." And he just got mad and stormed back out the door.
Okay.
And then he stopped back home another time to like rip apart the house looking for his phone.
Liam left work a few times that night and was caught on CCTV as he snuck in and out of the back of the restaurant.
And then when he came home from work, he told me, "Okay, follow me." And we went over. He grabbed a safe, put it in my car, and then he got Sarah's body into Sarah's car, took her car, had me go meet him, like intersect at the bridge.
Okay.
And when I got up to the bridge, he'd already put her over and jumped in my car.
And he jumped in your car?
Yeah. Right.
Preston now admits he had the safe they stole from Sarah in his car. Liam obviously trusted him with the money, and they are clearly acting in concert. Had Preston not been a willing accomplice, Liam would have never let him hold the money, which was the motive for the killing. By saying that Liam alone threw Sarah over the bridge prior to him getting there, Preston is trying to make himself not criminally liable for helping Liam dump the body. The detective looks away and down at the table and puts his hand on his head. His body language indicates he knows this part of what Preston is saying is untrue.
When he finally got off of work around 9 or whatever time it was, and he came home, you and him went back to Sarah's house? Is that right? How did you get to Sarah's house that time?
I drove my car going the same way, the same place, the dead ends.
Okay. And did you park your car in front of Sarah's house on her street or behind?
No, I parked on that dead ends behind her property.
Okay. And you accessed her property from the back of the yard again?
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't pull up in front of her house, park in her driveway, and walk in?
No.
Why didn't you do that?
Liam told me that there was a camera on the neighbor's house across the street to the right.
Okay.
Knowing about the neighbor's camera shows that they must have been staking out the area around Sarah's house, and that this was well planned.
And you said that when you went back to Sarah's house, was Sarah still in the bushes?
Yes.
Okay. Was there anybody in the house when you guys went back there?
No.
Okay. What is the first thing that you guys did when you got back to her house?
We went inside to look for his phone again.
Okay.
And then he went upstairs to get the safe.
Okay. Where was the safe?
In her room, I'm assuming.
Okay. Did you go with him or no?
No.
Where were you?
I was downstairs in the living room.
Okay. Where is the dog at this point?
Still in the cage.
Okay. What does the safe look like?
Shows green metal, kind of like a Coleman camping style.
Okay. How big do you think?
Not that big. Like opened up like a laptop.
Okay. And did you need a key to get into it, or was there a combination lock?
It had a key, but we busted it up.
All right. How did you bust it open?
Just with a hammer and a screwdriver.
At your house or at Sarah's house?
At our house.
Okay. Where is that safe now?
Buried in Shark River Park.
Buried in the Shark River Park?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you bury it or did Liam bury it?
Liam buried it.
Liam did? With the money?
No.
Where's the money?
Money's in another safe that he buried in Hartshorn Park.
Like Sandy Hook?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go with him to bury it? Would you be able to show us where that is? You know exactly where it's at? Okay.
I didn't get a lot of money, but I had enough money to just be like living comfortably in my house, tripping, throwing parties all the time, doing whatever the
I
I
see your
do.
Snapchat. You drinking and shit every day.
Every dude.
Be careful though. Don't drink too much.
No,
man. I don't want you to like hurt yourself.
I'm coming off a bender right now. I was just f***ed up from everything, all kinds of drugs.
Be careful.
Cocaine, Adderall, whatever.
Be careful.
Shrooms, acid.
You can't do that too much, bro. I told you.
No,
It's
it
turn
was-
your fucking mind into mush.
No, it was just a experimental time. I've never really done a lot of drugs, so I just wanted to try it all out, trip a little bit, find myself.
Oh, you did it, so just stay away from that.
Yeah.
No, seriously, because I don't want you to fucking be fucking stupid after all this.
When you arrived there and you parked behind Sarah's car, where was Liam?
He was on the sidewalk, facing the back of the car on the right side.
Okay. Standing there or sitting there? What was he doing?
Just standing there waiting for me to pull up.
Okay. And when you pulled up, was Sarah still in the car?
No.
Did Liam need help? Did you have to help Liam? Because I know he said that he couldn't drag her, he needed help. Did you have to help him lift her over?
Yeah, he had her on the sidewalk and I just helped him.
Okay. What do you mean he had her on the sidewalk? She was sitting there?
Like half out of the car.
Okay. So he was having trouble, it looked like?
Yeah.
All right, so you helped him lift her and throw her over the bridge?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that hard to do physically to get her over the bridge?
No, 2 people.
Preston changes his story. First, he claimed Liam threw Sarah's body in alone, but now he admits that he helped. Notice that Preston reenacts a throwing motion with his arms. He may not even be aware he did that, as people are less likely to lie with their body than their words.
Do you know about what time Sarah went over the bridge? We know what time we found her car.
Yeah. What's it, like 10:30, 11?
Okay. You just kind of guessing based on, obviously, because it's...
I want to say it was 10:30, just off from memory and like relative time.
Now, what did you guys do after that, like that night? What did you guys do? Did you guys party? Did you drink? Smoke?
Yeah, we went back to the house, drank and smoked a little bit.
Okay.
He cracked the safe and started counting money.
Okay. How much money was in the safe?
It was 10,000.
10,000?
Yeah.
All right. Did you see the money? Can you describe it to us? What did it look like?
It was a lot of really old, beat up, torn up money.
And do you know why it was old and beat up?
Just because it was sitting in that box in Sarah's other house.
Okay. What were the denominations?
20s, 50s, 100s.
Okay. Now, do you know, did Liam tell you where the money came? Obviously, it came, Sarah found it, but did you know where Sarah was keeping the money?
Yeah, he said that she had a safety deposit box.
Okay. And what did he tell you about that?
He said he had no clue how he was going to get it, but he would, and I didn't really believe he had it.
Okay. Now, the money, it was 10,000. Did how much of that money did he give to you?
$3,000.
$3,000. Okay. Have you spent the money? Do you still have it at the house?
I spent half of it on just a really big sum of weed, and then the rest he took from me and put it in that safe.
And so did you and Liam went to bury the money together? Did you use a shovel, or were you like, how deep is this hole?
It really isn't deep at all. We just dug with our hands.
Okay. And the safe is in the ground there?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have like a marker or something? Like, how would you know where?
I don't really know how to describe it, but there's like courtyards, like in these huge mounds of dirt that are like have walls, like retaining walls.
Okay.
And in one of those, it's just in the very corner, just buried under some dirt.
Okay.
It's always very useful to get detailed information about things that only the perpetrator would know. It's also very useful for trial to have the money, as it was the motive for this crime, and introducing the money they stole into evidence will help sway a jury.
You said there was another safe that's buried in Shark River Park? What safe is that again?
That was the safe that we got from Sarah, and that just has a few loose articles of clothing that they were all like spoiled from when they strangled her.
Okay. Are they Sarah's clothing? All right. When you say soiled, what do you mean?
He said that they were just doused in like vomit and urine.
Okay. Did he tell you that Sarah threw up on herself? What did he tell you about that?
He didn't really describe it too much, but he said that like when he did it, she just started vomiting and then she just peed herself.
Okay. Did he change her clothing?
No. I don't think so.
All right. Do you know then the clothing that would be in that safe? Do you know like?
It was just like a scarf.
Okay.
That she was wearing.
Okay.
The boy's actions of burying her soiled clothes show absolute callousness, and also how gruesome the killing was.
Tell us what he told you happened when he strangled her. What was he doing there with her? How did they get there? What were they doing beforehand? That sort of thing.
He told me that he was at her house. I don't know what the scenario was, but they were going to leave, and she led the way and he just grabbed her from behind.
Okay, and then what did he do?
Before she went out the door.
Okay, and before she went out the door, what did he do?
Grabbed her, pulled her back, and strangled her.
Did he describe it to you? Did he like tell you what happened? Do you know what part of his body he used to strangle her?
His hands.
He told you that?
Yeah.
Okay. And where did he put his hands?
I don't know.
Okay. Did he do anything else to her? Did he tell you that he assaulted her in any way?
No.
Liam and Sarah were friends for a long time, right?
Yeah.
How would you describe their relationship?
They were like really good childhood friends up until high school, and then just kind of grew distant.
Okay. Did he ever hook up with her, go out with her, anything like that?
No.
Did he ever express an interest in doing that?
No.
Do you know if she liked him, like wanted to go out with him or anything like that?
No.
So I know you had said that he did this for the money. Did he think he was going to get $10,000, $5,000? How much money did he think he was going to get from this?
All of it. What he thought was all of it was what he described as anywhere from like $50,000 to $5,000.
Okay. What are the other reasons why he killed Sarah other than the money? Is there a thrill involved in it? Is this something that he's always wanted to do? No. It was for the money.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he need the money for?
I don't know. We're just starting to move out, and he was getting tired of his job at Brennan's. So,
did he owe anybody money?
No. Nothing I knew about.
Okay. Was he having a problem? Like, did he have concerns about paying rent? Like, was he worried about money? I'm just trying to get a feel for why.
Not really. He had money in the bank at the time.
Is he like a type of guy that's always down on him, like money, like doesn't have money, borrowing money from people all the time, or no?
No, he's
always got some
on top of it.
Okay.
The detective is asking these questions to show how senseless the killing was, and that he didn't actually even need money.
Did you know when you went off to work that day or the night before, did you know that this was going to happen, that he was going to do this?
No.
Right. Had he been talking about it? Like, had he been...
The first time he said it, it was just like we're with other people and it just seemed like a joke. And then he'd mentioned it again. And then it was just that day, he was like, hey, I did it. I need your help.
Okay.
The detective is again trying to show premeditation so that first-degree murder can be charged.
Let me ask you this. Do you remember when Liam laid it out for you that this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the bank with Sarah. I'm going to go back to her house. Do you remember him saying that to you?
Wasn't until the day of. It was just like, yeah.
So the day that he did it?
Yeah.
Did he tell you beforehand or he told you after that
He told me like while it was going on. Like while he was with Sarah.
So you were talking to him?
I was at work and he had said he's with Sarah and he thinks that this might be his chance.
Okay. And did you ask him any questions about it?
No.
Did you know what he was referring to?
Yeah.
The detective has built a very strong case against Preston by asking him specific questions concerning his knowledge of the crime.
Were you supportive of him doing this so you can get some of the money?
Notice the extensive pause Preston takes before answering this question.
If you were, it's okay.
I didn't really think it was going to happen until it actually did.
The detective tells him if he supported Liam's actions, it's okay, as he can see Preston is having a hard time admitting he was okay with it. Preston just says, it happened. That's contradictory to all his previous statements that show this had been discussed and planned for months.
When Liam came home from work that night, how did he look to you? He was sober, right?
Yeah.
Was he f***ed up, drunk, high?
No, he was completely sober.
What's that?
He was completely sober, just really frantic.
Okay. So do you think during the day, like he was sober when he did this and just went to work and came home and then that's when you guys started partying and hanging out?
He might have smoked a little weed during the day, but...
Okay, he seemed fine to you when...
Yeah.
When he was coming home from work to look for his phone, he seemed okay to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
This line of questioning is meant to defend against any diminished capacity defense Liam could possibly try to raise at trial.
There was a lot of search efforts that were made to find Sarah. One, the community came together and put together a big organized search. Did you participate in that?
Yes.
Okay. Did Liam participate in that?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the reason why? What did Liam tell you about why you guys did that?
He said it would just look good to anyone who's got their eyes on him.
Okay. Liam said that to you?
Yeah.
Did you agree with him?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you guys do?
We went to the search party when it started, and we got split off into a group, and we started walking down the beach.
The detective is getting Preston to admit to a lot of compelling evidence and their state of mind during and after the crime. This will be very useful for the jury to hear. It shows they had no remorse for what they did after the fact and were able to put on an act in front of their family.
Has Liam ever done this to anybody else? No. Is he upset about what happened? What's his overall affect about what he did?
There wasn't really any sign of anything with him.
Okay. Is he sad? Is he depressed? Is he getting counseling, therapy?
No. He just quit his job afterwards and it's just been hanging out, homebody.
Okay. How do you feel about everything that happened to Sarah?
I don't really know.
Are you upset about it?
Yeah.
Do you think about it?
A lot.
Has this been weighing on you?
Yeah.
I know this isn't easy for you right now. What do you think about?
I think about what it means for me if any of it did come back to us.
Did you think it was going to?
Liam did a pretty good job of convincing me that she'd covered everything up. It just went wrong.
Has he spoken to you about it? I don't think obviously you guys talk about it every day, but does he tell you that he's upset about it? Does he tell you that he regrets it? Does he say anything like that?
He doesn't say anything about it.
Okay. Have you noticed a change in his demeanor or his attitude? I mean, or is he just going on with his life like normal?
He's going on with it like normal, but he's definitely just got, like, I don't know, like, more of an ego.
More of an ego?
Yeah. It's really the only thing I've noticed.
Okay.
The detective is trying to see if Preston has the capacity to show any emotion or remorse for what he and Liam did. He has shown almost no affect whatsoever during this interrogation. Preston only discusses his concern about getting caught and is solely focused on how this crime could possibly impact him. He doesn't even mention Sarah or her family. Preston displays the traits of a narcissist and possibly a sociopath. Having more of an ego since the murder but otherwise acting normally indicates that Liam is likely a psychopath and definitely a narcissist. Liam being arrogant about this crime is a sure sign of a serious personality defect.
I've done acid once, and I had a bad acid trip.
Yeah, don't. I'm like, oh man.
I did acid, and the cops came and took Preston to interrogate him.
Oh, so you were on acid?
I was on acid, and first of all, I come out of the shower, Preston's mom's on the couch talking to him. They're all like secretive, and I just go in my room. I'm freaking out, like, what the f is she doing over here? She leaves. Next thing I know, the entire Belmar police force is at my door taking Preston away. Like, I thought they were arresting him. They were gonna he was gonna tell them everything.
He didn't say a word though?
He didn't say anything, and I was losing my when I was tripping. Like,
hey, you're probably scared. That's not a good, that's what I'm saying, you gotta stay away from that.
Yeah.
Where was Liam's phone? You said he lost his phone. Where was that phone?
He said he found it in the driveway.
Did he find it or somebody found it?
He said he found it in the driveway.
Okay. Now, do you know when he?
No, Mahoney said he found it in the driveway. It was the next morning he got it back.
Okay. And when you say Mahoney, the detective from Belmar?
Yeah.
Hang tight here. We're just going to take a quick break, make sure we don't have any other questions for you, okay?
Okay.
You want a bottle of water or anything?
That'd be great.
Okay, you got it. Be right back, okay?
All right.
Thanks, Preston.
Preston puts his head in his hands and leans down on his knees, which shows a sign of resignation and exhaustion. Suspects will often cry or show emotion once left alone in the interrogation room. Preston still shows almost no emotion and appears pensive and almost looks bored. Preston begins drumming his hands on the back of the chair. This may be a sign of stress and self-soothing, but comes across as very strange after he just confessed to conspiring to rob and kill his friend and helping to dispose of her body. He begins to loudly bang out a song with his hands on the chair legs for the next few minutes. It's rather eerie to watch.
Okay? Yeah. I just have a couple more questions for you and we'll be all finished up, okay? So, just brought some maps in here. Where, looking at this aerial photograph, can you circle the area, put a circle around the area where the bushes are that you dragged Sarah to?
Okay.
Okay. And can you just write Sarah next to there? Okay. All right, and that's where you moved her to.
Mm-hmm.
So and the door is where?
Right. Yeah. Well, this is like an awning over the back patio.
Okay, and so you dragged her all the way over towards the right.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you just put your signature on the back of that for me, please? And just put today's date on there as well.
The detectives return with maps and photographs to solidify the statements he gave. This is the final stage of the Reed technique. Having the suspect point to maps or sketches of the scene and returning the suspect back to the scene or reenact the crime are commonly used at this confession stage. It's vitally important to back up the truthfulness of the confession with independent corroborating evidence, such as disclosing key facts of the crime, which would only be known to the perpetrator and investigators, or turning over critically implicating evidence.
We're hoping that you're going to be able to take us to show us these locations. Would you be agreeable to that if we put you in a car? Would you take us just to these spots so we're not having to go out and look?
Yeah.
All right. And obviously, what we're doing here, Preston, is obviously we want to be able to give the family some closure. Sarah's family is devastated by her loss, obviously. I'm sure you can understand that.
Yeah.
So everything and anything that we can do for them is important. How are you communicating with Liam? Were you guys communicating on the phone? Were you guys communicating by like radio, little portable radios? What were you guys using to communicate?
He bought walkie-talkies.
What's that?
He bought walkie-talkies.
Okay, and what do those walkie-talkies look like?
Black and red.
Okay, where are they?
Walkie-talkies. He has one of them. One of them was still in my car.
Okay, so one's in your car?
Yeah.
And where's the one that he has?
I have them somewhere in the house.
Okay. Do you know what brand they are? No. Okay, and where did he buy them?
Walmart.
Okay, did he buy them specifically for this?
I was assuming so.
Okay, did he tell you that? Did he say, hey, I bought these walkie-talkies so we can talk when I do this? Or
no, he gave me the walkie-talkie. Like when we were going over the bridge, he was like, yeah, better not using phones. He gave me a walkie-talkie.
Okay, so did he give you the walkie-talkie before you left Sarah's house?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you guys use them?
Yeah.
Okay, and what kind of things were you guys communicating about?
They just said, I'm coming up on the bridge, and I said, okay, I'm coming up behind you, and it's like, all right, hurry up, because I can't get this over myself. And I pulled up behind him.
Okay.
This is another compelling piece of evidence that goes towards premeditation and the depth of planning that went into this crime. The detective confirms that Liam bought these specifically for this crime. This also indicates that Liam may have intentionally left his phone or was planning to leave it at home so his whereabouts aren't trackable.
When you spoke to Liam and Liam told you that he was with Sarah and that today may be the day that he was going to do it, however he expressed that to you, how did he tell that to you? Did he tell that to you on the phone, through text message?
It was on Snapchat.
On Snapchat?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a messaging.
Okay. Now, does Liam communicate on Snapchat a lot?
Not as much as just regular call and text.
All right. What's his Snapchat name?
Liam Akatazny something.
Okay. Does he have one account or does he have more than one account?
I think he just has the one.
This is relevant as Snapchat messages disappear after a brief amount of time. The detective asks if Liam normally uses Snapchat to communicate, to try to show that he purposely used it in this instance, because it would disappear quickly and isn't stored like a message.
I know reading Miranda rights, everything that all means that I'm under arrest. What's
so there's situation? Your situation right now is there's no complaints filed against you right now. After we're done talking to you, basically what happens is we'll have to consult with our supervisors and we'll have to come to a decision from a legal perspective. An assistant prosecutor would make a decision as to what charges would be filed against you. Okay. You've been today. We appreciate that, Preston. I know this wasn't easy for you to do. I think you understand that what you did today was a very positive thing, not only for yourself, because you've been carrying this burden and you've been walking around every day since this happened with this weight on your shoulders. I look at you today, and I remember seeing you on December 7th when I spoke to you, and you look like a different person. I would imagine you have some relief. I can't imagine what it must feel like every single day waking up in the morning, especially knowing that you have a sister. Looking at yourself in the mirror every day, I'm sure was not an easy thing for you to do. Am I right?
Yeah.
I can tell you, I think you did the right thing here. I feel like you wanted to do the right thing in December when we spoke to you. I remember looking at you. I remember how upset you were that night. Right? I think you're a young guy, man. You're 19 years old. I think you have many years ahead of you. You have a long life ahead of you, and I think by doing this, you're able to put yourself in a position where you'll be able to move on. I hope you feel that way. We appreciate, as I said to you earlier, that your cooperation and from when we saw you earlier today till we brought you down here, you've been nothing but respectful and cooperative, and we appreciate that. It was the same thing when we spoke to you out in Belmar. All right.
The detective knows he has enough to arrest Preston at this point, but wants him to cooperate and take them to the crime scene. So he makes it seem like this decision has not been made yet. The reality is that his arrest is not a question of if, but when. The detective is trying to elicit emotion from Preston by mentioning his sister and how much of a burden this must have been for him to carry around. Preston has given them a solid case, but he may be needed to prove the case against Liam. His cooperation could benefit him if he will testify for the state. If the state needs an accomplice to convict the main actor, they will often give them a lighter sentence in exchange for their testimony in court.
Would you be able to bring us to where Sarah's body is, Preston?
I don't know where her body is, but you mean the safes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you already explained to us where she was thrown over the bridge?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we appreciate that. Let me just go get our cars ready and we'll take a ride, okay?
All right.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right.
Well,
thank you.
When the detectives leave, Preston finally shows some emotion and cries momentarily. This appears to be out of stress and because he knows he will likely be arrested since he already asked about that. Preston never says anything about regretting what he did or express any kind of remorse. It's disturbing that he could do this to a childhood friend and a person he took to prom over some money. He had ample opportunity to report Liam, as well as the opportunity to discontinue his involvement. Preston made decision after decision to continue with the crime. Liam is the mastermind behind this, but Preston was intricately involved. It seems unlikely Preston would have done something like this without Liam, whereas Liam seems like he would have done this no matter who was or wasn't involved. Following the interrogation, the detectives take Preston to exactly where he and Liam threw Sarah's body off the bridge and into the river. Note the eerie and emotionless way Preston reenacts how he helped Liam lift her body and throw it, even miming the motion with his hands.
My name is Detective Brian Weisbrot with the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. I'm currently located in my county-issued vehicle, parked behind the Neptune City Police Department. Present in the car is Detective Nicholas Catalona of the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office Forensic and Technical Services Bureau, along with Preston Taylor and Preston Taylor's attorney, John Perrone. What was the purpose of traveling to the bridge?
To dispose of Sarah's body, throwing it off of the bridge into the marina.
And what was your route of travel from Sarah's house to the Route 35 bridge?
I made the right off of Midwood Street onto Steiner, straight to the intersection on 35 and made a left and continued straight to the Belmar Bridge.
Okay. And are you aware if Liam traveled to the Route 35 bridge on the same route that you took?
No, he took another roundabout way to avoid being seen on any of the storefront cameras along 35.
Okay, Preston, we are currently approaching the base of the Route 35 bridge on the Neptune Township side. Can you please identify the location where Liam had parked Sarah Stern's vehicle on December 2nd, 2016.
Yeah, right over here.
Now I'm pulling my vehicle off to the shoulder of the roadway.
Liam had lifted Sarah's body by the shoulders and gotten her partially up onto the curb, where I then grabbed her by the legs.
Hold on. What is this?
You were saying Liam had her
by the shoulders and hoisted her up onto the railing, and then I pushed her feet over so that she was going over the rest of the way.
Are you confident that her body went over the bridge prior to getting to this equipment?
Yes.
You remember seeing this equipment?
Yes.
Okay.
Specifically that cone-shaped radar piece right there.
About a week and a half later, the police then take Preston to Sarah's house to do a walkthrough so that he could show them what he did the first time he arrived at her house, to move her body and look for Liam's phone.
We're along the back fence, and I had parked my car just right over here and hopped the fence right here.
Okay.
I was informed beforehand that the back door would be left unlocked.
Okay, who told you that?
Liam.
Okay.
And I entered. When I entered...
When you entered, were the lights on in the house or were they off?
The lights back here were off, but the kitchen and the living room lights were on.
Okay.
And this door was closed. This one I couldn't get open, but I was able to push this one open, enter, and Sarah was slumped in this corner right here.
Okay. And again,
behind this door.
Preston, you said there's these two bifold doors here. The door to the left was in what position?
It was closed.
Okay. And did you try to open it?
I tried to, was only able to get it about that far, and realized that she was behind the door.
Okay. And how about the right door? Were you able to open that fully?
Yes.
Okay. And how was Sarah's body positioned in this bathroom?
She was sitting like this, tucked into the corner and leaning over the toilet.
Okay. And her feet were where?
Sticking out into the room. Okay. My first reaction, I left her and I went to go throughout the house and look for Liam's phone.
Okay, if you can take us to where you looked for the phone. And you walk through here, up these stairs?
Correct.
Okay.
I continued this way. The dog was in its kennel as it is right now.
Okay. Where was the dog's kennel at the time?
Right there. And at first, I just looked in this general vicinity.
Okay.
I looked under the couch.
And what are you looking for when you're in here?
Liam's phone.
Okay. When you were in this room, did you take note of anything that was out of the ordinary or in disarray?
No.
Okay.
I mean, there were boxes like this, not these same ones, but
okay.
There's similar clutter.
Okay.
And then from there, I looked up here, opened the closet to see if it had slipped under the door, closed it, and I continued upstairs and into Sarah's room, where I searched just on the floor and on top of everything here, on the bed, and amongst all the clutter on this half of the room. And I didn't see the phone anywhere, so I went back down to where Sarah was.
Okay. Liam, prior to coming here, did Liam or anyone else tell you where you would find Sarah?
Liam told me that she would be downstairs by the back.
Okay.
And
did he specifically say where downstairs by the back?
He didn't, but
okay.
It didn't take much looking to find her.
Okay.
And then once I got back down here, I picked her up under the shoulders and hoisted her up, and I dragged her backwards out this door She was been facing away, and I had my arms under her shoulders like this.
Okay. So were her feet dragging on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I carried her over here, dragged her over here, and kind of sat her under the bushes right here.
These are the bushes that you placed Sarah in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yes.
how did you position her when you brought her out here?
She was just laying on her side like this.
Okay. Which direction was her face?
Facing outward.
Okay.
And with her feet down here and her head up here.
Okay. So her head was up here, and her face was facing Detective Catalana?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from there, I jumped the fence where I had entered.
Okay, if you can take us back to that area.
Jumped back over the fence. I got in my car, turned around, and went out that way.
Immediately after, Preston then did a second walkthrough to reenact what happened when he and Liam returned together after Liam finished work.
I waited right here where I could see the car, plus what's going on with the lights in the house.
And what was the purpose of you being here the second time?
Just to keep watch and make sure everything went smooth.
Okay, and why did Liam come back here with you? What was your purpose in being here?
To move Sarah's body to.
Okay. During your second trip, did you go inside of Sarah's house?
No.
And did Liam go inside the house?
Liam went inside the house to get the safe, and he went out front and got in Sarah's car.
Okay. And did Liam tell you he was going to get the safe?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he tell you where he was going to get the safe, where it was located?
No.
Okay. So Liam went inside the house. Did he get the safe?
Yes.
Okay. What door did he go inside the house in?
He entered through this back door.
Okay. And did you see him come out of the house with the safe?
No.
Okay. What door did he come out of with the safe?
The front door.
Okay. And what did he do with the safe when he came out of the house?
He came out the back door, not the front door.
Okay.
And he gave me the safe.
Okay.
And I put the safe back over by where we jumped the fence.
Okay. So you walked the safe back over there?
Yes. Okay. And we came over here to where Sarah was left. Right under these bushes here. We pulled her out, and he picked her up to start dragging her. I grabbed her legs and got her over to the fence.
Okay. So you're carrying Sarah by her legs? Are her legs dragging on the ground, or are they up in the air?
I was like holding them up in the air.
And what part of Sarah's body was Liam holding?
Her torso.
Okay.
And we carried her over to this fence near the safe was, hoisted her up and over, threw the safe over, the two of us jumped over, and I got in my vehicle and Liam got in Sarah's vehicle.
Okay. And when you say you hoisted Sarah over, can you just explain how you did that and what happened when you hoisted her over this fence?
Liam jumped over the fence first. I lifted her up. He grabbed her by the torso from the other side of the fence and pulled her over as I lifted her legs up. So.
Okay. Did you help him put Sarah in the car?
I helped him keep her in while I got the door closed, yeah.
Okay. And how was she positioned in the car?
Sitting upright.
Okay. Did she have a seatbelt on?
No.
Okay. If somebody were driving down the road and looking into that car, what would they see?
They would have seen Liam driving a car and Sarah assuming that she was asleep in the passenger seat.
Okay.
Sarah's body has never been found.
It's your life, you might as well make it one. What, are you gonna live some boring-ass life? I don't feel any different, and I don't think about it. You always think you're gonna try these new things, and you're gonna change.
But it didn't change.
It just doesn't do anything. Like tonight, we were gonna potentially kill a bunch of people and get a bunch of drugs and money, and nothing. It's weird.
Bro, it was good seeing you, bro.
Yeah.
When I come back down, let's fucking do something. It's listening. Look at me. Be safe, alright?
Yeah.
Don't do any fucking stupid.
Listen, I'm not gonna let Preston do anything dumb. I did something really dumb, and I planned it out for half a year. I have patience. I got it.
It's good talking to you, bro.
Good talking.
Take it easy, bro. Safe travels, alright?
You too.
You got everything?
Yeah.
Alright, peace out. What's up?
I don't know where my keys are. Thought I had everything. Oh, there they are.
You got him?
Alright, brother.
Alright, bro.
Liam McAtasney was charged with first-degree murder, first-degree felony murder, first-degree robbery, second-degree conspiracy to commit robbery, second-degree disturbing or desecrating human remains, and second-degree hindering apprehension. Liam's attorney tried to have the secret recording where he confesses excluded from evidence at the trial. They argued that the friend who made the recording was acting as an agent of the police, and if you'll remember, Liam was represented by an attorney at the time, so therefore he should not have been questioned about Sarah. The video was still shown in court. Preston took a plea bargain and agreed to testify against Liam. He said that Liam claims Sarah had the type of money somebody would kill for, and that he originally planned to get her drunk and take the money. During his own trial, Preston apologized for his part in Sarah's death, though he addressed his statement to Mr. Stern and all those who had the blessing of knowing Sarah. Sarah's father didn't want to hear anything Preston had to say. As he spoke, Michael walked out of the courtroom with his girlfriend, Christine Eggert. Preston also apologized to Sarah and called her a very beautiful young woman who didn't in any way deserve the end you met. Her father only returned once Preston was done talking. In 2019, Preston Taylor was sentenced to 18 years in prison. He must serve at least 85% of the sentence, about 15 years, before he can be considered for parole. Also, in 2019, then 21-year-old Liam McAtasney was convicted of Sarah's first-degree murder, conspiracy, tampering with evidence, and sentenced to life in prison without parole. He also received an additional 10-year sentence for the desecration of human remains that will run consecutively to his life sentence. He will never get out of prison.